The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
The 44 gets loose off of corner number 4. It's going to be a photo finish to the line in the grass, but the 44 will hang on for the win. Here he comes with the crossover. Fellison to the inside. Is it going to be a Las Vegas photo finish? They touch. They wreck. Who's going to get it? Upside down. Who's going to get it?
Fellison gets it.
Ooh, by himself. Now he has a 72 of O'Connor. It's going to be a 2v2 race to the checkers. 2 up top, 2 to the bottom. It's going to be Ingram. It's going to be Rainville. Who's going to get it at the stripe? Photo finish. It's going to be Rainville. Is there enough? This is going to be a close finish. What is going to happen? Is there enough fuel to get him around 2 more corners? He didn't have enough. The final corner. There goes Zach Nichols. Sarah ran out with 3 corners to go, and Zach Nichols will win here at Mostport. And is he going to go for the last-ditch effort? Is he going to use the back bumper? What will Devin Sarah do? We head into corner number 3. He's going to sail it on in there. Does he get to the bumper? He turns him. He turns it for the win. He wrecks him. We saw how Ruddy, is that a word? Ruddy?
I don't know, just go with it.
All right, we'll go with it. We've seen how Ruddy turn 3 is getting. And
so these guys, once again, doubled up, stacked up, and ready to go back green flag racing here behind the iRacing.com Facebook pace car.
Don't know where that came from, but we'll let it slide.
What was I thinking?
Ridgeway, Virginia is the host of the shortest and the oldest track in NASCAR. Since 1948, this famous .526 mile paperclip has hosted tons of infamous races and has caused tempers to flare in nearly every single event. Martinsville Speedway tonight is where the 100% Cup Series will race its 8th race of the season. Who will end up on a rollback, and who will be the proud recipient of the famous grandfather clock? Tonight on PTR TV, we find out the answers again here for race number 8 of the 100% Cup Series, and we got a 3-man booth tonight. It's myself, Corey Silva, I got Evan Black, and from 3Wide TV, we got our buddy Andre here to give you the calls for the 400 laps, almost said 500 guys, the 400 laps that we're going to be racing here at the Paperclip tonight.
Yeah, 100 laps shorter than usual here at Martinsville, since it's a night race. Just going to run a little bit longer into the day, and just trying to keep it a little bit shorter here. 400 laps here at Martinsville. I'm very excited for this race. Coming back off of Richmond last week, we have Nick Ottinger back in the field today. He wasn't there last week, but he is. This is his 3rd race of the season. He won his last 2 at Dakota. And then at the race he ran before that, so he's back out here trying to defend that, and very fast in practice.
Yeah, so we get 3.5 minutes left in practice. These drivers do pre-qualify for these events, so we don't quite have a qualifying session. That order is already determined, so we'll give that to you in a few minutes time. But as in the real world, 400 laps here tonight, because we did cut it down, TV time. They don't want to race run 4.5 hours a night, so we're going to consolidate the action down to that 400 laps. The lights are going to turn on, and we are going to race into darkness here tonight at Martinsville. So let's just give you a little bit of a rundown on the weather conditions here that these guys will be enduring tonight. Nothing of challenge. 70-degree air temp, 74 track, so a lot of grip will be on offer tonight. Not much wind, but cloudy skies that will again contribute to some more grip, which I think these guys will need with these next-gen cars here tonight. 670 horses under the hood to battle with here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun to watch these guys out here. We saw a lot of issues last week at Richmond coming off the corners, just guys getting loose, and I'm seeing a lot of that here once again in practice. But that's going to get a little bit better as we get later on into the race and into the night, as the sun will be setting more. Track temp probably drop down a little bit under 70 degrees. That's what I'm going to be expecting here tonight, which will definitely help out these drivers.
It absolutely will, and these guys are going to need all the help they can get. Taking this next-gen car, you already kind of mentioned it there, Corey. This car it's different, and one of the things we were talking about pre-race is whether or not these guys are going to be shifting, and I've been following along with the onboard cams of some of these drivers, and it seems like some drivers are opting to shift. Some drivers are opting not to, and it is an open setup league, so everybody's going to have a bit of a different setup on the car that handles a little bit differently. Maybe some cars are going to be more prone to shifting. They're going to handle a little bit better if they do so. Other cars might not. One more storyline going into tonight's race is that we do have a fill-in driver, the number 57, normally piloted by Cam Stone. They have a fill-in driver, and it is Bryce Hoffman in that NOS machine. Now, Bryce is let's say, team adjacent to Cam Stone. He's not necessarily a teammate, but they do work very closely together. And so when Cam Stone said, all right, I'm going to the real life race at Martinsville tonight, I need to fill in, there was only one name that he really thought of right away. It was Bryce, and I talked to him a little bit before the race. He was real excited to climb into that 57.
Yeah, we saw Cameron Stone have a great race last night out. Richmond got beat up, but still hung on to a top 10. So interesting to see how the backup driver will do for him tonight. Something we are experimenting with on PTR TV. We do have a new feature. We do have some live in-car cameras. 4 of our drivers here tonight. We'll showcase them on screen for you right now. We have Cody Bird, Brandon Pierce, Kyle Ammon, and Ralph Hutchison all be in car. I think Brandon might be sleeping here from what we can tell. Hopefully he wakes up in the next minute, but something cool we'll be checking up with over the course of the evening. And we did kind of allude to a couple factors, guys, but we do have our keys to the race sponsored by, still looking for a sponsor, Patience or Aggression. 400 laps. It's hard to get by. Bump and run. You got to keep the fenders on it. Something to be interested in tonight. Shifting, as you kind of said, Andre. Do you go to 4th? Do you go up to 5th? Do you keep yourself busy all throughout the race? And of course, survival. 40 cars, 39 cars, what have you, on a paperclip for 400 laps. Can't finish first if you don't first finish. Somehow I said that without stuttering. Keys to the race tonight, guys. But here we are as the timer ticks down. We are going to get ready for the grid and the starting procedure here tonight. So we're going to want to thank everybody for tuning in here to PTR TV for the 100% Cup Series. If you have liked and subscribed, we'd really appreciate it if you do so as we reboot our channel and try to give this series the exposure they deserve. So again, please do that if you have not done so. But the time has come. We're going to go down and give you the PTR TV starting lineup here from the Martinsville Speedway. On tonight's poll, if technical, there we go. Nick Ottinger on the pole here tonight with last week's winner John Delaney in 2nd. Lucas Hoytsma in 3rd. Ryan Ducombe in the 4th spot. Rolling off in 5th, we have Blake Giglio. Adam Benefiel in the 83 machine. He'll be in 6th. And then Ralph Hutchinson, one of our in-car drivers, in 7th. And Sammy Boury in the 8th spot. Evan.
And rolling off in the 9th position, we're going to have the number 56 of Mason Lowery, and to his outside, the 28 of Alex Murray rolling off in that 10th position. In 11th, we have the 29 of Tanner Marty. In 12th, we have the 51 of Jason Baker. Rolling off in the 13th position, we're going to have the number 20 car of David Medeiros. And then in the 14th position, we're going to have the number 33 of Rob Tracy. And then in the 15th position, we're going to have the number 217 of Jack Anthony Durham. And then in the 16th position, we're going to have Preston McRae in that number 53 machine. Andre?
Looking back from Preston McRae, starting in P17, it's going to be Kevin Consistency Steele in that 24 machine. Robert Anderson to his outside. Looking back to 19th, the next row behind them. If it scrolls there, Sean O'Brien Jr. for Black Flag Motorsports alongside Brandon Pierce. There's another driver that we're going to go ahead and have our in-car camera for, so that's pretty cool. 21st and 22nd is going to go to Michael Christopher and Raymond Root, respectively. And back from them, we've got Randy Drumhiller and Jason Gibson. Chris, or Corey?
All right, quickly going by, Damian Acerenza in 25th, Chad Sanner in 26th, Matt White, Brandon Hoffman 27th, 28th. The remainder we'll let scroll by because it's a short track, second week in a row. We have quick pace laps here, so again, Kyle Ammon of note in 34th. He's one of our in-car drivers as well, so we'll see how he does get himself through the field here. And last thing we got to bring up in pre-race is our race details. If you're not comfortable or you haven't watched one of these 100% races, open setups, there is a 15 incident limit, which on a short track that's very easy to do, so that will keep these guys in check with the aggression to an extent. And our stages are on lap 80 and 180. Correct me if Andre on the stats there, but that's what I'm pretty sure, so we will go with that. We'll try to focus on it. But that pace car is in. NASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series driver Nick Ottinger is going to lead this field down in that number 25 Logitech Camaro. Pace car is already in. We're waiting for Barney on the flag stand. The green flag is in the air here at Martinsville.
And now down into turn number 1, Ottinger easily clears. Now Lucas Hoytsman to the inside, going through to that second position. Top 3, top 4, all single file now, just barely as the 16 of Blake Giglio clear down into the 4th position as the battle is continuing behind them.
I tell you what, that car in 3rd place, John Delaney, that's going to be a driver on a mission. Bit of a points deficit to make up, even after last week's great performance. He did miss a couple of weeks early on in this season, and that kind of put him in a bit of a hole. And with the competition in this league just kind of getting more and more fierce every week, John knows that he's got to be on the ball. He tends to be really good at these short tracks. Very strong performances here as long as he can get to the end. So that's going to be a car I'm keeping my eye on. But looking back from them, we got a bit of a breakaway. Blake Giglio in the 16 is in 4th. He's about, I'd say 9-10 car lengths back. But this is another driver on the rise who's been doing really good recently. But so far, guys, single filing out up front.
Yes, it is. And that's kind of something that happens at Martinsville more than you'd expect. Once you get about 5-10 laps in, it does kind of turn more into a skill track where these guys, the wheel spin on corner exit. How hard can you get on the binders entering the corners? Do you wheel hop? Do you lock up the brakes? What line do you run? It does eventually start to spread out, and it can turn into a much cleaner track than you'd expect, as we do have a battle with that number 99 car of Ryan Ducombe. If we can find him, he's going to go very high and outside, and that allows the 54, Ralph Hutchinson, to his inside.
Yeah, points leader Hutchinson up there through to 5th. But one thing I want to point out, if we go to that leader of Ottinger, he's already only about a half a straightaway behind the last car on the lead lap. So only 6 laps in, he's already getting close to having some lap traffic up here. And that's going to be something that's really going to hurt him. He's going to try and work his way through that traffic. That's going to allow the 07 of Hoytsman to catch up onto his back bumper. That's going to be something we really need to watch for all night. Just how do they get through lap traffic? Who's going to be the best at that? Ottinger is going to be one to watch for that.
And this is something that I think a lot of these drivers weren't expecting. We started with nearly a full grid tonight, but prior to the race, there was some kind of talk in the garage that we weren't sure how many drivers we were going to get. Of course, we got the real-life NASCAR race going on tonight, kind of competing with this, alongside some drivers just aren't too fond of short tracks, and historically we've had smaller turnouts for these things. So with a smaller field, it would have been a little bit easier on these guys, but unexpectedly, a lot of drivers have shown up to the track ready to compete, and that means there is going to be very little room for error. The leader's going to be in lap traffic just about all night long, just like you said, Evan, and I think that's going to be one of the most important factors tonight, is who can navigate this traffic the cleanest, the quickest, and the most consistently.
Yeah, most certainly the case, as I believe the number 9 machine is the first on the chopping block. That's Alex Princeton. One thing to note, guys, where we don't see Martinsville under the lights too often, obviously being a new occurrence in real life and on the iRacing service. I thought I saw some smoke there ahead, but from this camera, you can really see those front rotors lit up on Nick Ottinger. Especially in these new next-gen cars, the way iRacing has modeled the physics. The brake temps and brake fade is genuinely a factor, so it's kind of nice to see those little cherry red brake rotors lighten up, but these guys will have to really manage those brakes over the course of the evening.
Another thing about the brakes that Corey was saying is these next-gen cars have a lot bigger brakes, especially on the front there, than the previous generation of cars. It's going to be way easier to lock up the front tires getting into the corner, which can easily cause you to spin someone out or get into a wreck or just overshoot your corner. We saw that a lot last week at Richmond. Ottinger up here in traffic. He's got a really long line of cars up here in front of about 10-15 cars all the way up through. They're already on the front stretch now, and he's just entering turn 3, getting by that 77 machine of Dalton Mobley. We'll have to see how lap traffic continues to affect him, but right now it looks like Ottinger is doing a really good job getting through traffic. He's getting a really good gap back to Lucas Hoytsman, about a second now back to him.
No.
And I'll tell you what, the consequences of locking up your brakes, if you accidentally do it, can be far more long-term than just missing the corner. If you flat spot your tires, that car is not going to feel the same as it did before. You're going to be struggling with the handling big time, and there is a tire limit in this league. So if you flat spot your tires, you can't always just come down pit road at the first opportunity or the first yellow flag and throw a new set on, because if you do that, you might find yourself out of luck at the end of the race. When everybody else has fresh tires, they come down pit road, put those tires on the car, and their lap times are going to get better, but you have none left. So these guys are going to have to be real careful about tire wear tonight, and it's going to be more important this year, I would say, with this car than in any year previous.
No, certainly the case. And we were just on board with Ottinger for a few laps, and this may be an iRacing telemetry thing, or it may actually be the real thing, guys. I know, as you said, open setups and different gear ratios, but based on the telemetry we had, guys, Ottinger, he's actually running in third gear this entire time around. We'll kind of compare that to perhaps our second place driver, go on board with him for a little bit and see what his onboard telemetry says. This may be an iRacing glitch, but it says he's in third gear. I'd be very hard pressed if they're running in third, but maybe they are.
See some of them down into second gear, so looks like that may not be an iRacing error. It looks like they could just be running around here in third, which kind of surprising to me, but you know, that's one of the things with these open setups is you can change the gear ratio. So maybe they found it was better to have a little bit different gear ratio in there, stay around in the third gear, maybe helps them get a little bit better runs off the corner, not have to shift up, because I noticed no one is shifting out there right now. They're all just kind of staying in third or second the whole way around this track, as now there is traffic all the way around. Really, pretty much from the first place to last, everyone is around somebody.
Yeah, so we'll do our first kind of onboard segment right now with the 54 of Ralph Hutchison. We'll see what he looks like in that machine right now. He got those white racing gloves on right now, fully focused. I think he kind of adjusted the camera to focus on his back wall there. Looks kind of nice. But that is our points leader, if memory does serve there. Nice smooth inputs on the wheel, not fighting it too much. That's what you have to do when you want to persevere here at Martinsville. So interesting perspective again from him right there.
Yeah, Hutchison running around in that fifth position. He was trying to stay right on that bottom, just stay wrap that right or red and white curb all the way around this track. That's the fastest way around, at least for now. I know we've seen a lot of times in the previous generation car, you could really kind of move up and run that second and third line. And like if you did a cut down on exit, I don't know if we'll be seeing that here tonight. Maybe once the tires get rubbered in, or the track gets rubbered in from the tires, but especially with this cooler track temp, I don't know if we'll be moving up too much tonight.
I just quickly want to backtrack to the shifting situation with a lot of these guys in third gear, and I believe they are. I talked to Bryce Hoffman before this race, and he's kind of the setup builder for Silver Bullet Racing as well as himself, and he was kind of mentioning staying in lower gears at this track, and it would make sense because typically the lower the gear, the more rotation you're going to have through the corner, but that comes at the cost of using a little bit more fuel because you're constantly at a higher rev. But I was looking at where the stages are spaced out. You were correct at the start of the broadcast there, Corey. It's lap 80 and lap 180. At least for stage one, they should be able to make it to the end of the stage, no problem, even staying in a lower gear. So really, when it comes to staying in third or possibly even getting down into second through the turn, it's all benefit and no loss.
Yeah, that's one of the things at Martinsville is you very, very seldom ever hear fuel as a concern, and if it ever is, that's 2 laps under green at minimum you're going to lose. Usually it is tires or some sort of a wreck. That brings out a caution as somebody very sideways on the front straightaway there. I believe that is the 79 machine of Matthew Gaskins, who got super loose there. We'll see if we could cue it up on replay very quickly for you. Off of 4, he had a big scare there.
Yeah, I saw Gaskins have a few issues earlier on in this race, just getting loose out of turn 4 just like that. Got into the wall a little bit, not a whole lot of damage. It's probably not going to hurt him a whole lot at this point in the run. He's already kind of dropping back there. He's running in the 36th position, but there's only 27 cars now on the lead lap, or actually 26 even. Ottinger is just picking up and putting him down.
Yeah, he's in an absolute gaggle right now, as Matt Malone would say, big iRacing streamer. So right now, who is at the number 1, Dustin Hall. Hall had a great run at Richmond. Well, he was up and down a lot, but he did have some speed at Richmond, and obviously not so much on this evening here at Martinsville, but a lot of time to make some adjustments. Remember, it's an open setup race. Wait for potential attrition. I'm sure it'll happen at some point and see what we can get out of it.
And I'll tell you what, Matthew Gaskins might have been the first driver to get a little loose out of turn 4, but I don't think he'll be the last. These new cars have independent rear suspension, which means both of the rear tires can kind of travel independently of one another. It's not a solid rear axle, and it may not look like it, but there is a fair amount of banking in turns 3 and 4. And when you come out of that corner and you transition from that banking to the flat straightaway, the car is shifting a lot of weight, more so than in previous years, because the car can move a little bit more freely. And when that weight shifts, that car is going to get sideways every time. So these guys got to be real careful with their throttle inputs if they want to keep it pointed in the right direction.
Side-by-side battle right now that is right in front of our leader. It's not really helping the gap. Well, it was about 2 seconds back to Delaney. Now it's 1.5 seconds as Delaney has a little bit clearer real estate, but as the two drivers right in front, they're staying for the lead lap. The stage is in 50 laps. Obviously, that's a long time to fight off a very fast driver, but they have no responsibility to get single file and let them go. They need to fight for these positions, and that's obviously making Ottinger's job a lot harder.
Yeah, that 42 and 1 up there, they're not really, at this point, I don't feel like they're trying to fight to, last another 50 laps out here. They're just hoping for a caution here while they're still in front of Ottinger, which, with how many people we've seen getting loose out of 4, it's a very possible situation for that to happen. But now to the inside of the 42 goes that number 25 of Ottinger. So he's going to be going a lap down. And, last week we saw only, I think at that last green flag run, there was about 3 cars on the lead lap. I think we might be seeing that again here tonight.
These short tracks do sometimes wind up with very few cars on the lead lap. I know we had one race, I believe last season at Bristol, where there was a moment where it looked like the leader may be the only driver to finish on the lead lap. A late race caution came out and shook that up, and we wound up with, I think, 3 on the lead lap at the end of it. But yes, this league is no strangers to having some very dominant performances here at these short tracks. And a lot of that is, again, because it is an open setup league. The guys who figure out their car and who kind of find that hot ticket, that adds up over time, and you don't got to go very far to put somebody a lap down at this track. I also want to mention John Delaney is no slouch right now. He moved up into second at one point, got up around Hoytsma. Now he's behind Ottinger, and every time Ottinger gets up into a gaggle of cars there, John Delaney actually closes the gap. It's only when the track clears back up that the 25 is able to pull back away. If the cards fall in his favor, John Delaney may get up to this leader and pose a challenge before the end of this stage. That car is a rocket ship.
We just switched our ticker over to go from the interval to the from the leader to last lap time, something that we just added into the overlays last week. So see, last time by a 1964 for your leader, a 93 for Delaney, but that wasn't a true lap because he was fighting a lapper. So now this is going to be a true lap to lap comparison between the two drivers. So we'll see once they cross the stripe what indeed the lap times will be. 60 to a 64, so pretty much even, as you were saying, a fast clip there, and only a second back, so he can easily get that back with a little bit of lap traffic.
Yeah, very impressive from Delaney to be able to hang in there with Ottinger. Only 400 slower. That's not a whole lot around this track, and like you're saying, with those lap cars, that can easily cause them to catch back up there. I'll be curious to see if that lasts, or if one of them kind of gets a bit of an edge. That last time by Delaney, a little bit faster by about 0.04 of a second. We'll have to see what it is this time by, but as this run continues on, we're almost halfway through the stage. I'll be curious to see at the end of the stage if Delaney is still right there with Ottinger, or maybe he'll be a little bit quicker, maybe he'll be a little bit slower. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. We saw a lot of comers and goers last week at Richmond throughout the runs.
Yeah, a couple drivers in the 19s, most in the 20s, but we even have some 19-second laps all the way back to the 13th spot. That's Tanner Marty still in the 19, so even 13, 14, 15 for that matter. So definitely some guys with some speed throughout the field. It's just a matter of track position at this point. I don't know if there's going to be any strategy calls throughout the race, guys. I mean, maybe 2 tires if you take 15 laps, maybe you consider 2 tires. I don't really know much more than that, but if we get in some track position strategies and all that stuff, I think we could definitely see some interesting shuffling throughout the field. But so far, clean and green after 42 laps, so ain't going to be much strategy if it stays green, at least until the stage.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a strategist right now. I would not want to be somebody up on the pit box trying to tell these guys what to do, because right now, like you mentioned, Corey, it's been clean and green. We've had no yellow flags, really no incidents outside of Matthew Gaskins getting a little bit squirrely, and that's kind of unusual for Martinsville. In years past, generally the action kicks off pretty quick. We get a lot of yellow flags, and the race is kind of planned around that. If you're making your strategy, you're thinking, yeah, there's no way this thing's going to stay green to the end, but right now, 43 laps in, things have been really clean. And so you got to think they're probably up on that box thinking, well, if it stays green, maybe we start thinking about some long run adjustments when we come down pit road, maybe change that tire pressure, maybe get this car feeling good on a long run, because maybe we're expecting more of them.
Yeah, only 16 cars out there on the lead lap here right now. Only going to be 15 here shortly, as Ottinger is getting by one of them right here. So 15 cars on the lead lap after 46 laps. Everyone's easily going to have enough fuel to make it to the end of this stage. So no pit stops in this first stage or in the second stage, but that last run, it's going to be about 220 laps. If that does end up going green, which, you know, so far from what we've seen tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if it did go green all the way to the end there. How far are we expecting these guys to go on fuel? Probably 120, 130 laps? Is that what you guys are thinking too?
I'd say about 140 absolute max, but 120, 130 is usually the short track fuel load from what I've understood over the years. But again, doesn't come up too often.
Yeah, it doesn't really come up a lot at these short tracks, but sometimes with the way the stages are spaced out, these guys do kind of plan their fuel loads out around that, and they kind of plan their strategy around that. But real quick, not to change the topic too much, I want to point out that number 99 in 8th place, Ryan DeCunha. It's been a pretty impressive night for him tonight, up in the top 10 so far, and he's a driver coming into this race with, I feel, something to prove. Over the last few weeks, he has, we'll say, not made too many friends in the garage area. He's gotten involved in a few scuffles. There's been some arguments back and forth, and DeCunha was kind of quoted as saying, all right, I know that I'm building up a reputation, and it's not a reputation that I want to have. I want to show you guys that I can do it, and I can do it cleanly. And so far tonight, at a short track where you expect a little bump and rub, he's worked his way up a few positions, and he's done it about as clean as you can do it. So if he's out here to send a message, I think he's sending it pretty well. Great run so far for DeCunha.
Yeah, don't see a scratch on that machine. One thing we do want to, make sure we continue doing is checking up on our drivers that we have our in-cars with here tonight. So we'll take a little moment and focus on Brandon Pierce. I went to a high school with a guy named Brian Pierce. That's why it was in my head. We can see here, I think he's got some sponsors in the back there. I think he took this opportunity as a little bit of a shout out. So good shout out there for him. You can see he also has the racing gloves on. I kind of feel like I'm the only one that doesn't use them, apparently. But nice, smooth inputs on that wheel, not fighting it at all, which is exactly what you need to do. Unfortunately, in terms of lap times and performance, he is in 25th
on the track now
as first caution.
See what's going on with that.
Sounds like Alex Murray might have been involved there, and Kevin Steele as well.
All right, we'll get that queued up on replay in just a moment here. So Alex Murray, what was the other one, guys?
Kevin Steele, I believe, came up on the radio and mentioned he was involved. We'll see if that was him.
All right, loading up the replay here. It's a little rusty on it because we haven't had to use it here tonight, so.
So we're following along. You can see that the 28, Alex Murray, gets underneath him there. It's a good corner.
Oh, something happened.
There's already smoke flying in front of him there, so it might have been with Kevin Steele. It might have been after the initial incident that something happened there. But
17 of Durham is where I'm seeing it starts with out of turn 2.
All right, so. All right. Oh, there he goes.
sloops around and had a little contact with the 83.
Yep, Adam Benefiel in that 83 just got a little bit of it, but luckily not too much damage, as now everybody involved in that working their way down pit road, getting that damage fixed up if they can. But boy, oh boy, Corey, Evan, it is strategy time. Do you bother taking tires? Do you think trying to get some stage points with fresh tires is worth using up a set?
I think at this point, I would absolutely come down pit road. 56 laps on these tires. If you pit, you're only going to drop back to about 15th, 16th position. You're going to burn up one of those sets of tires. We do have, it looks like, I believe, 7 in the pits, if I'm correct on that. But Delaney's staying out. See if Ottinger does. Looks like Ottinger did come down pit road. So if you guys choosing to pit, if you guys choosing to stay out.
Now Ottinger back in 9th here. And as we pull up the stint, look at the stints here, yeah, certainly the first 8 drivers have stayed out. So that will put Ottinger back to 9th. So that's, I mean, can he get that back in 20 laps on fresh tires? Probably the case, but we'll see indeed if Delaney can pull out the stage. We saw last night in the NASCAR Xfinity race that there was a caution right around this same time with 20 to go in the stage, and you had drivers stay out, you had drivers pit, start the next stage on slightly older tires, see if they got the cautions. Well, in the real Xfinity series these days, cautions come aplenty, but where they don't come aplenty in this series, it's kind of a little bit more of a risk, if I don't say so myself. But we'll see indeed what happens here with Delaney and Hutchison on the front row. We'll go on board with Hutchison for this restart.
Yeah, Delaney and Hutchison both saved a set of tires there, so we'll have to see if that does end up paying off for them later. There's only about 20 laps left in this stage, and once again, we'll probably ever see most drivers come down pit road, but pace car down into that pit lane, coming through turns number 3 and 4 here. Delaney on the inside, Hutchison to the outside. Coming out of turn 4 now, and the caution just got extended another lap here. With all those wave rounds, they couldn't get down and back to the end of the field in time.
I don't think it was just the wave arounds. I'm listening into the driver radio, and I think there was a few drivers that were being told by the officials that they needed to let some drivers go, but it didn't seem to be the correct order, so I think they're sorting that out. And then once they get that fixed up, we'll be able to get back under green. There's the pace car coming back out. And I'll tell you what, guys, this is going to be a very crucial restart. You know, if they can get green and get on a bit of a run here, then I think it's going to stay green as the pace car pulls back onto pit road. Jonathan Delaney in control of the field in that inside line. Teammate on his outside. That's always a good feeling, knowing you got friends around you. Coming out of turn 4, he gets on the loud pedal as soon as he can, immediately clear of his teammate. It's an LDR 1-2.
Up 3 now, all clear down out of turn number 2. 83 of Adam Benefiel, the only car on the outside lane, and he has that damage on that left front from the contact on that previous yellow. Top 4 now, all single file. We'll have to see how far Ottinger can get up through this field. Trying to see where he is at
he's down in
currently.
15th right now. Something must have, I don't know what happened to him. He was 9th, but back to 15th, so that's going to be more of a tall tale for him to get back into the top 10. But luckily for Ottinger, he has those 3 wins, so stage points aren't too big of a fuss for him. He's already locked in. He just wants those bonus points to help him get to the playoffs, assuming he's going to be competing for the championship.
Yeah, Nick came into this league kind of a part-time gig. He said he just wanted to run the road courses and maybe a few additionals, but it seems like after he ran his first race, he got hooked because he's coming back almost every week, and it's kind of an unknown whether or not he is going to compete for the championship, but the track record he has so far, it's kind of looking like he might be going for it.
Yeah, as we have our 4-cam on board right now. We haven't talked too much about Kyle Ammon tonight, and guys, I don't know if you have the production feed up, but the eyes that Kyle Ammon has, he has that death stare that I would not want to be around him. He just has those laser-focused eyes as he's battling his race car right now. Trying to see where he is on track right now. Kyle Ammon's in the 16th position right now as we close in on 15 to go in stage 1.
Yeah, first car on those fresh tires is going to be the 99 of Ryan DeCunha. He's back up to that 8th position. And, you know, he's back there in traffic, so his lap times are going to be a little bit slower than the leaders, but he was only He was still actually 0.07 of a second faster last time by. I don't think he's going to have enough to catch up to Delaney, but he should be able to crack that top 5 as we have about 15 laps to go here now. We'll see Delaney is starting to catch up to some lap traffic as well. The 09 of JC Gibson is going to be that first car that he does come across here out of turn number 2. So we'll have to see about 15 laps to go in the stage now.
Yeah.
It looks like... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Corey.
No, I was going to say, we just switched our ticker over to the lap times once again. And DeCunha and the 45s, everybody else, including the fresh tires, still running on the high end of the 19s or even low 20s here. So even a 1933 compared to a 1967 up front. So definitely about 3-4 tenths faster on fresh tires after about 60 laps run on them, it seems.
And one thing I was just looking at there is Ottinger. He ran a 20:59 last time by. I'm kind of wondering if he's just trying to save his tires here and not burn them up, so that we can get back out to the front towards the end of the stage. And once everyone does come down pit road, that must just be the only thing I can really think of is 2060 that last time by. So he's about a second off of what he should be. So that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Could be just letting the field come to him. He knows that the leaders are going to be in lap traffic, kind of dealing with what he was dealing with in the first stint.
Once again.
It sounds... Ooh, we got a parking lot on the front stretch, boys.
See the one of dust. Well, actually, I thought I saw the one. I saw the double zero of. I believe I saw the double zero in that. So we will go load up the replay and see what we can find. Oh, 51 indeed was a part of that. So 51 of Jason Baker. So I'll try to queue up that
I think
here.
that's where it started.
Enter in turn 3 here. 51 all the way up in the asphalt. Don't want to be up there. Broke loose. I don't know if I was on a downshift per se. But he's just slow rolled the top. He just turned left.
Yeah, that car did not look right, even getting into the corner. It looked like the way that weight was shifting around.
That broke or something.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Evan.
On board, you can see his inputs. Yeah, that looks like a...
He turned right, and it went left. Something broke.
Something, you know, in the real world, you could say the steering mechanism broke. In the virtual world, we could say that, you know, it could be the USB came unplugged, USB froze, something like that, but...
Very unfortunate. A lot of drivers involved in that and nothing they could do. But we are back under caution here with about 10 laps to go in the stage. So we will get back under green flag conditions before the stage is over. I'd say everyone that is up there in the top 5, top 10 is most likely going to be staying out here. They've already kind of made their bed where they're going to try and get some stage points. And Ryan DeCunha is going to be still that first guy with the fresh tires. I'll be watching for him here on this Bet Price 5-6 lap dash towards the end. He's going to be restarting in 7th on those fresh tires. We'll have to see how far he can get up there.
I think he's definitely going to be able to make up some positions with those fresh tires. He's just going to have to be smart about it. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a hornet's nest on this restart, and we don't want it to go back under yellow because that would prevent us from completing this stage under green. But with the fresh tires starting not too far back from the leader, he's definitely got a shot at it. But I'll tell you what, John Delaney, he is real good at playing defense. He can make that 6 car about as wide as he needs to make it, at least from what I've seen historically. And if anybody's going to be able to hold on to the lead and get to the end of this stage and grab those stage points, it's definitely John, especially with the help of a teammate being right there with him, Ralph Hutchinson in that 54 for LDR. I think the biggest question for John is how nice does his teammate play? You know, because John needs these stage points. You know, missing a few races here and there, he definitely wants to build that buffer back up, win this stage, get some bonus points. But Ralph, I mean, he may be a teammate, but he's a competitor too. So what does he do?
Yeah, one thing I saw in kind of, you know, league chats throughout the week as I was trying to keep up with these guys, and is that 54, he's kind of the chase to Delaney's Larson, where Larson's kind of Chase Elliott won the title, was winning a bunch of races, and Larson just came in and took all of his thunder. He's sick of running second to him all the time, and Hutchinson kind of had similar speaks that he just, you know, he's used to running better, and he's sick of having a teammate that just wins all the time. He wants some of the glory himself. So last week he tried doing it on the 2-tire strategy, nearly pulled it off until he cooked the brakes entering turn 1 on the green-white checkers. So, you know, if the guy's right in front of you and he wins a bunch of races, I think you kind of forget that he's your teammate, and you got to go for what's yours. That's at least my mentality.
Yeah, that's what I would think as well. And those are the top 2 guys in points up here. And it looks like we're going to be coming to the 1 to green here this time. And it looks like Delaney might be taking that outside lane here. We'll have to see, maybe working with his teammate a little bit to let him in down into turn 1.
Because Evan, I got to get personal for a second. Don't you remember, you know, us being teammates for years, and you could never seem to beat me at this particular track, and how much that irked you? Just, I had to bring that up.
Yeah, thanks, Corey.
Yeah, not a problem. Doesn't happen anymore, though, because we both are terrible at racing, because we don't do it enough anymore. But stories aside, as you said, Delaney's going to take that outside, Hutchison to the inside. What kind of start can he get? Can he stay with him? Can he make a move into 1 and try to get the stage with 4 laps to go? Andre, how about you take us down for this restart?
Absolutely. Pace car makes that hard left turn, and John in that unfamiliar outside line. Definitely a strange choice. I haven't caught that early on. But as they come out of turn 4, the field is in his hands, and he's going to get on that loud pedal just as soon as he did last time and immediately clear of that teammate. That's going to put Hutchinson P2. We've got 6 laps of racing in this stage. Well, 5 laps of racing in this stage. I apologize. And Jonathan Delaney with a 2-car length gap, and they're going 2 wide for 3rd place.
That restart worked really well for the 6 and 54 of Hutchison. They're going to have to put that into their notebook for later on in this race. Is now top 4 all single file. First battle is coming back with the 28 of Alex Murray and the 16 of Blake Giglio for that 5th position. And they have fresh tires in that 99 right behind them, rolling around in 7th. We'll have to see if you can get by these guys. Looking to the outside here, down into turn number 3. Not quite able to get there. Kind of surprised he's not able to pass them a little bit quicker, since he is on those about 20, 30 lap pressure tires. Oh, almost contact there.
And you got to remember, when it comes to DeCunha, he's probably trying to dial back that aggression very consciously. Yeah, he could move him out of the way, but with the reputation that he's afraid that he's building, he probably doesn't want to. He wants to make sure that everybody that he passes, he does it the right way, which it's hard to do. It's hard to rein yourself in at a short track. It's very tempting to give somebody the chrome horn, especially with stage points on the line. But it looks like he is going to get to the inside, and he may be able to make this move clean.
Yeah, he got clear of that 16 of Giglio, and right behind him, that 25 of Nick Ottinger. We saw him drop back a little bit on that last restart, but he's now working his way back up through this field, clear through to the 7th position, looking to the outside of that 99 now. Looks like he's going to try and get a good run here out of turn number 2. Not quite able to get to his bumper, but he's closing in there, as this is the last lap in the stage. Looks like that number 6 easily going to get that stage win.
That's lap number 80, so we'll wait for the top 10 to clear. Caution should come out at admin discretion any time now. Might be sneaking another one out here. I think our admin are racing, as far as I understand, so sometimes it's a little hard to make these calls on time.
Yeah, generally it's after the top 10 cars have completed the stage lap.
Oh, there we go.
But I think it might have been a little delayed there. You are correct. The admins are in the race as well, so that could be what happened. Or it could be maybe the caution being so close to the stage, perhaps they decided to wait just a moment. But with the stage having been finished, John Delaney does take the stage win ahead of his teammate Ralph Hutchinson. The rest of the drivers to get stage points: Benefiel, Hoytsma, Murray, Ottinger, DeCunha, Giglio, Lowry, and Raymond Root. We do have some love in the chat for Mason Lowry in that 56 machine. Somebody cheering him on. And it looks like getting some stage points there with some strategy worked out pretty well. But what do you guys think? Should we, after these pit stops, have a word with our stage winner?
I was actually going to go for second place because we have the onboard camera, but we could certainly go for our winner as well.
So everyone dropping down onto pit lane, except for that number 25, Ottinger, coming down. He pitted earlier on in that race, and I'm kind of surprised to see DeCunha. Did he come down pit road as well? No, DeCunha stayed out. So everyone that pitted under that last pit stop, or under that last caution, is going to be staying out here. So everyone will have the same amount of tires, but just everyone behind him is going to have a little bit fresher rubber on his car than these top two.
That's 54. Jack does drop. See if he does retain second place. He does. So actually, let's see how long this caution is. Maybe if you want to have a word, Andre, we could have a word with our stage winner of John Delaney. Call him up here.
John Delaney, you got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
John, that was a heck of a stage win. A little bit of strategy to get up there and get those points. Was that kind of a conscious call or a bit of a roll of the dice?
Well, we were just trying to get stage points. And now we're going to the back because of I exited a closed pit, so we're going to the back. So this is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, not what you want to see. We weren't aware of that. Do you feel like you got the car to get back up there? Are you pretty confident in that number 6 machine?
Yeah, I think we're definitely have a podium car. Getting through lap traffic was crazy that first run there. So if we can just keep the car clean and really get through the lap traffic pretty well and stuff like that, I think we'll be fine.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, John. We'll let you get back up to your team and quit wasting your time. But good luck out there, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that is definitely a short track nuance that does happen, especially here at Martinsville, where cars are just all over the place. And iRacing does have on the, in the interface for drivers to see, it will say pit closed, pit open. Again, it's just not something that comes up too often where you do have to stop at the end of pit road. So sometimes drivers go through it habitually, and unfortunately for him, it will put him to the back. It looks like Ralph Hutchison was able to exit legally, if you will, and he will have those fresh tires in the 4th position, so we'll see if he could take advantage of that on this restart for stage number 2.
Yeah, got one more lap before we do get back underway here. Like you were saying, top 3 are on older tires than the rest of the field. However, Ottinger and DeCunha are on the oldest of those top 3. Matt White in that 3rd position. He has about 16 lap fresher tires than those guys in front of him. We'll have to see how that plays out once we do get back underway here. 1 to green, and Ottinger taking the inside, which is going to be mostly the preferred line for this entire night here. And that 99 of DeCunha going to be on that outside. Like we were saying earlier, he's trying to work on his reputation a little bit, so you might just be seeing him try and get down here and run some laps behind Ottinger.
All right, so take number 2 here. We thought it was the restart last time by, but it's indeed going to be this time by. Ottinger is going to take the more traditional inside lane here for this restart to start stage number 2. We'll see when he does decide to get on the throttle, and there he does. Green flag back in the air, but DeCunha was ready to go on that restart. He's going to stay right with him.
Ottinger clear down into turn 1. 2nd place DeCunha now clear down to the bottom. First battle is going to be for 3rd with Matt White on those older tires down on the inside. In that 3rd position to his outside, the 54 points leader Ralph Hutchison on those fresh Goodyear tires. We'll have to see which line is going to prevail. Looks like the inside of Matt White of the 48 is going to clear for now. The 54 has those fresher tires, but just in that outside lane is just not able to get going. He's clear now down. A little contact there from that 07 into turn 3. That's going to shove him up the track quite a bit.
I'll tell you what, Ralph Hutchinson and those LMM cars, they tend not to get along. They have a bit of a history. Not a super terrible history, but they're not strangers to trade and paint and get into each other here and there. And definitely had some words exchanged over the radio. I remember as far back as Auto Club and a little bit at Atlanta. So to see those guys getting into each other, maybe not the biggest surprise in the world, but it looks like everybody is getting single filed out. So everybody's a little bit calmer. And I feel like maybe those cautions we had were a bit of a wake up call to these guys, kind of saying, all right, maybe take it easy. We're only on lap 92. A lot of race left tonight. Got to be there at the end of it.
Yeah, and as we alluded to in our pre-race with our race details, there is the incident limit in this league, so you can't beat and bang the whole entire time because, eventually your card's going to be thrown and you're going to be pulled out of the race, so you do have to keep that in check. You can probably get about 3-4 contacts in before your time is up, so that does have to keep in mind, does help keep these guys in check and keep them driving safely. So we got Ottinger out to a 2-second lead. Hutchison hasn't been able to take advantage of those tires back to 6th. Do want to check up quickly again on our drivers, our onboard drivers here today. Cody Bird, he is currently in the 32nd position, 2 laps down, so not having the best of runs, but he's doing the best he can. Has that nice MPI steering wheel there. Brandon Pierce, where is Mr. Pierce in this race right now?
I believe he's off the track.
Oh. Well, that is not helpful.
Yeah, he got caught up in the in that incident on the
Yeah.
front straightaway. A lot of front end damage. He was in the infield care center for a moment. We didn't quite get to him in time, but yeah, unfortunate for him. He's a driver who really is just trying to stack up points where he can, and this isn't helping the cause.
Well, if he's, let's see, while we have some time, we'll see if we can drag him in and just kind of see what happened. We got him here. We got him all set up. We may as well at least take advantage of having him with us. So, live, trying to get some stuff done here. Hey, Brandon, you got us, bud?
I got you loud and clear.
All right. Well, we got you all set up for the camera segment, so kind of feel bad that you're out of the garage right now. But what happened that take you out of the race there?
Just, there was that incident off of 2, and I just didn't have anywhere to go. Between the ping ball action, I ended up with a meatball out of it. So, quite a few minutes required and optional, and I think that's just going to be our night.
All right. So, I mean, if you were able to, get through that wreck, or better yet, if it didn't happen, what kind of car did you think you had tonight?
It was definitely faster than, kind of just where I was on track, just trying to take it easy and get going. But the guys up front are flying. Definitely didn't have anything for there. I mean, probably somewhere just outside the top 10 would have been the goal.
All right, well, we won't catch you next time on PTR TV, but perhaps next time, I think Bristol Dirt next week, see what you can do there. I see you have some sponsor cards on there. Want to give some shout-outs while you get the TV time?
Yeah, just shout out to the guys over at Triad who build these cars every week and give us the opportunity to race. Stint Analyzer, Susan Media, all the guys at SBR doing what they can to give us a chance to get out there and race for points.
All right, well, we'll wish you some better luck on the dirt next week, man. Have a good rest of the night.
All right, thank you. You too.
And that is Brandon Pierce, one of our onboard drivers. Again, Kyle Ammon, excuse me, again, kind of a sinus infection here. Try to hide it as best I can. Kyle Ammon is currently in the 21st position. Another one of our drivers here. We talked about his laser focus look here. Again, everybody has racing gloves. What about you guys? Do you guys use racing gloves, or is it just me? Am I the only outcast?
Well, I think for a lot of these guys, it depends on the track. I think the big benefit to using racing gloves is that obviously over the course of a long event, your hand's going to get a little bit sweaty. Your grip is going to kind of decline on that steering wheel, maybe not have the best input. If you got a steering wheel, you've got full grip, full control with those gloves, and it helps out. And this is a track where they're going to be on that wheel all night long. So if they can get just a little bit of an advantage and kind of even protect their hand from chafing, it doesn't sound like much, but at a track like this, on the wheel, glove might be a bit of a protective measure.
Yeah, especially if you're lucky enough to have like a direct drive setup, which we know the torque and the extra forces that our president knows. Unfortunately, I'm not able to have one of those at the moment, but it is on my list. We have the 8 machine Raymond route sideways on the front straightaway.
Bring out the third caution of the night, fourth including that stage. But to see, he was on the lead lap running in that 13th position. We'll get that rolled up here and we'll see what happened.
Oh, hit the curb and just little baby loop. No harm, no foul really, but just clip the curb there, and once you clip that curb, it just upsets the vehicle enough to where you're sideways.
Yeah, didn't hurt anything on that car, but gonna have to come down and get 4 fresh tires. We'll see. Pit road should be open this time. We'll see if anyone else does come down with him, Ottinger, on those older tires. I don't know if I was him, if I'd want to pit quite yet. Looks like he is going to be staying out. Pit roads might have been closed that time, but I don't really see anyone in that top 14 or so pitting, and 14 cars now on the lead lap. 15 actually, as Ryan Samuelson is getting his lap back in that 15th position. He was the lucky dog that time around. So we see him coming around there to the outside of that pace car. We'll have to see if anyone does come down pit road, as they should be open this time by.
We will keep you updated on that. What we're going to do here on PTR TV is go to a quick side-by-side break, get ourselves a drink, and recoup for the restart. So again, please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
And we're back here on PTR TV for the 100% Cup Series here live at Martinsville Speedway, race number 8. As we are on our, I want to say, third caution of the race, counting the stage. Might be the fourth, but either way, we have Nick Ottinger up front. He has dominated the race, as you may expect, as you see him every other Tuesday night in the iRacing Coca-Cola series that I can never seem to say in the right order. But he is out there on 56-lap old tires. Everybody else, for the most part, behind him on 27-lap old tires. Does he have the pace to withstand having older tires to hang on? Well, that's going to be the question, and that's what we'll have to stay tuned for.
Yeah, coming down the back straightaway here, Ottinger once again taking that outside lane, the 28 of Alex Murray to his outside on those about 30-lap fresher tires. As Corey was saying, most of the field has those fresher tires. Pace car down into the pit lane, coming here to turns number 3 and 4. Have to see when Ottinger is going to go here, now into the restart zone, and Ottinger clearly able to get ahead of that number 28, Alex Murray. 3 wide down into turn 1, but contact Ralph Hutchison around and into the outside wall. Not good for the points leader.
That'll throw a caution out.
That was a hard impact. Ooh, and then here comes another vehicle just kind of moseying on into that accident there, but that was a hard hit to the passenger side. I'd imagine he's got a fair amount of damage. You can see the 99 just ducks down low, and then Lucas Hoytsma gets underneath him. I don't think he was expecting that. So it kind of caused the 99 to panic and move up half a lane, but Ralph was already there. So I don't think that was really anybody's fault. That was just 3 drivers going for the same real estate.
I mean, the only fault you could really put at it is, you know, kind of discretionary of should that move be made this early in the race? I mean, that's up to, you know, moral debates and racing etiquette, but regardless, it's going to put our points leader down in the... He's still on the lead lap. He only has a little bit of right rear damage, so you'd think he could still compete at a high level, but he'll just have to get a little bit of repairs and get that position back.
Yeah, Hutchison definitely going to come down to get some fresh tires on that car. He's going to be restarting right around that 15th position. So it definitely didn't hurt him too much. We'll have to see how much damage, or how much that damage is going to affect him here, as we still have about 285 laps to go. And like you were saying, Corey, I just don't know if it was quite time for that move. Can't really put the blame on anyone, but just a little early for that maybe. But Hutchison still out there, so definitely not going to end his night, but might put a little bit of a damper on it.
So one thing we will do here, and take advantage of our camera segments, we have Kyle Ammon. We'll see if we can grab him and have a word with him. For some reason it's not letting me transport Kyle. It doesn't like me. Maybe one of my comrades can do that. Alright, there's the man. Kyle, you got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right, so we got you live here. Obviously, we got our camera set up with you here tonight. You're running the 18th position right now in that number 5 machine, first car off of the lead lap. So, what's your night been like, and where do you think your car is in the end of the day?
I think it's pretty good. Just It's messed up with the qualifying effort. I botched it a lot on entry, so I put myself behind and, going laps down early, and I made a mistake on the pit stop, so should have stayed out instead of pitting.
All right, but you at least hope you can get yourself, if you get that lucky dog, you think you'll end up being able to, maybe compete back into the top 10 or even better than that?
Yeah, I think we definitely got a top 10 car. Just got to get the lap back and get some track position, and then I think we can go to battle. All right. Well, luckily for you, you got over half the race to get that done. We'll keep checking up on you. Good luck, brother. Thank you very much. All right, that is Kyle Lamond. If someone can put him back to his appropriate room there, that would be super helpful. But that was him. So we'll check up with the other driver, Ralph Hutchison. I thought about bringing him in, guys, but right after a wreck, bringing somebody in who's hot on the track, probably thought keep it PG, probably let him cool down a little bit. We'll talk to him next caution.
Yeah, smart move.
Smart move out there, Corey. But yeah, they are going to be coming back to the 1 to green this time by same front rows we had last time with that 28 of Alex Murray to the outside, 25 Nick Ottinger to his inside. Coming to 1 to green here, we'll have to see as these tires are getting a little bit older, especially Ottinger. Do you think we'll have too much wheel spin to worry about here out of turn 4 on this restart?
I think it's going to be a big factor. I mean, it's a little bit easier on them now that the track's getting a little bit cooler, but it's still going to be a factor, especially in these lower gears, because if they're running in 3rd gear, they may be starting as low as 1st or 2nd. So wheel spin could be a big thing, especially for some of these drivers that are on older tires. They're going to have to be careful of that, and that's one thing you're going to have to pay attention to is the car in front of you. If you know that they haven't pit recently, you got to be vigilant, keep them in your windshield, and make sure you're watching their every move, because you don't want them to stall out their momentum and just completely fly into the rear end.
And it also kind of depends too when the leader does go, because if you, especially at Martinsville, if you're kind of on corner exit and that's when the acceleration point is, you super have to be careful, because you're in the corner, you're turning, then you bash the gas. It really does put you in a precarious position. I can say I speak from experience on that one. So we'll see what happens on this restart. I'm going to say it right. NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, is that right? Nick Ottinger.
That's right.
Leads the pack down for this restart. I was going to say it right one of these times. See what number 28 can do if he can stay with him. Green flag is out. Ottinger's going to get the jump. Can the 28 get in clear on the inside? He's not going to be able to. Looks like that number 83 of Benefield is going to battle for that 2nd spot.
Benefield clear now into that 2nd position. 20 of Alex Murray trying to get back down to the bottom. He does do so as now top 4 all single file. First battle is going to be out there. The 99 of DeCunha now clear in the 6th position. Trying to see who that is. The 16 of Giglio through to the 5th position. Top 7, top 8 now. All single file here as we just completed a lap 120. About 280 to go here around Martinsville.
Looking back just outside of the top 10, Ralph Hutchinson, who was involved in that incident there, got a fair amount of damage. He's running P11, 2.8 seconds back from the leader, but he's battling it out with Adam Benefield, actually moving up into P10 after getting around Medeiros. So that 54 is on the move. Doesn't seem like the Wounded Horse is all too slow out there, and that is not good news if your name is DeCunha or Hoytsma, because I'm thinking the 54 may not be too glad with those guys.
Yeah, and Benefield was running in the 2nd position, but he had a really big moment down in 3 and 4 a lap or two ago. Just barely kept it out of the outside wall, got really loose through the center of the corner, dropped back to 10. He managed to hang on to it, just lost a lot of track position there.
Side-by-side battle with Hutchison in the 54 with Sammy Bury in the 64. Haven't talked about him, but he is hanging on the latter end of the top 10, but he will be falling back to exactly the 10th position now that Adam Benefield is taking that spot away. Devin Medeiros in the number 20. He's going to try to fill in the gap, but Bury was able to hang on, and as the caution comes out, interrupts my sentence there, try to find out what happened this time by, I think it was Chad Sanner in the 59. We'll cue up the replay yet again. It's been rather busy so far. And see what happened to Chad.
Had it easy the first 80 laps or so of the race.
Gonna check that a little bit further back. Oh, Dustin Hall. Little net code there, but he definitely cooked the entry a little bit there. Internet code didn't help too much with it, but I think that one cooked it in there a little bit harder than maybe expected, and definitely facilitated in that incident.
Yeah, netcode or not, I'm with you. I think that was a little optimistic, sending it in quite that deep.
Yeah, luckily for Sander, not a whole lot of damage on that car's Kyle Ammon. One of the guys we have the in-car camera there on, just got the wave around, so he is going to be back on that lead lap. That's exactly what he needed. Started back in 34th, now up to 17th and back on the lead lap. As it looks like everyone pretty much staying out once again. And something I want to point out about Hutchison is now he does come down pit road. But the last caution, the one he was involved in, he didn't pit to fix any damage or get any new tires or anything. So he will be coming down now and getting 4 fresh tires and getting the damage fixed. But he was already able to work his way back up into the 8th position with the same tires and with all that damage on there. So he's definitely be a force to be reckoned with for Hoytsma and DeCunha up there in that 99.
All right, which one of you guys has the wants to talk to an angry driver?
Well, I'll take it.
All right, we'll see if we can grab Ralph, and we'll see where he stands and how he feels after his efforts so far and after that incident.
Ralph Hutchinson, you got a copy?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, Ralph, you got kind of tangled up in that 3-wide incident. Got a little bit of damage, but the car's still looking real fast out there. You are definitely on pace. What's the battle plan going forward, man?
With the amount of laps left trying to fix it, pace was still okay, but it was bent up pretty good. Like, it just didn't feel the same in the corner. Brakes felt weird. So try and get it cleaned up and get back up there and race with our friend the squirrel, Ryan DeCunha.
All right, so I take it maybe no love lost between you guys?
It's just every week with him. He's running out of things to hit at this point. So.
All right. Well, we're going to get you back up with your team, Ralph. Good luck going forward. And, yeah, go get this thing, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, boys. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Corey. Maybe not too happy.
Peaceful jabs, though. That is the best way. If you're going to roast somebody or you're going to display your displeasure, if you could do it in a sarcastic, nice way, I think that's the best way to go about it, to be honest. So I'll give him full marks on that.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there is any contact, once Hutchison does get back up to DeCunha, about 10 spots separating them at the moment, but Hutchison is going to be on those fresher tires and has that damage fixed. So we'll have to see if he can get up there.
One thing we got to bring up, guys, we got to remember, I can't remember who it was. I think it was the 07, or maybe it was somebody else, but DeCunha wasn't really the full reason that wreck happened, but Hutchison probably doesn't know that from his in-car perspective, so kind of a tough situation. I think he saw the replay. He might not be as upset, but regardless, that's he's not going to be able to see the replay until the end of the race. So
yeah, that's going to be an issue for DeCunha, because at this point in Hutchison, he has no idea that there's kind of more of a racing deal than anything intentional, or even just DeCunha sliding up the track a little bit. He just wasn't expecting Hoytsman to be down there.
Well, and that's exactly why the number 99, I think, is trying to rework his image or his reputation in the league, because that's kind of what happens when you are the villain, when you are the guy who's kind of got into a few drivers. Everybody just assumes you're at fault for everything. So if you can kind of rework that image and show everybody, hey, I'm a clean driver, then you don't have guys like Ralph kind of getting on your back and thinking, oh, it was his fault, when really it was just a racing deal. But it's still been a pretty good night for the 99, and I know Ralph is a smart guy. I don't think he's going to go out there and dump the 99 straight up, but looks like the pace cars pulled off pit road. We got the 25 leading the field, the green. Lucas Hoytsma on the outside with John Delaney behind him, but a powerful start from the 25 is going to get him clear up into the lead as they stay side by side for third place behind him, and Hoytsma is comfortably in second. But this is a 2-wide battle between Giglio and Delaney side by side as Delaney just barely gets the advantage, but the battling doesn't end because DeCunha moves to the bottom of the 48.
Yeah, DeCunha underneath that 48 of Matt White. Now it's down into turn number 1, 48 of White. Running a little bit high up there in that third lane. That's a little bit higher than you do want to run. But it kind of worked out for him there. He got a really good run out of that turn number 2, almost clear of that 99. So I think we're kind of seeing that outside start to work just a little bit here. Definitely not the preferred line, but you can hang on out there as they are still side by side with that 48 and 99. A lot of close racing out there, and just behind them, we have Adam Benefiel, looks like, or actually, no, behind him that is Sam Mori, and that 64. Haven't talked about him too much tonight, but now single file throughout the top 10.
Single file indeed, guys. And I do have to report, as I am watching the real world race, there's a Martinsville emergency now. They're out of hot dogs. They're out of hot dogs.
Oh no.
How can you be out of Martinsville hot dogs?
Supply chain.
I'll tell you the problem. Cameron Stone is at that race in person. So instead of driving 57, yeah, he went to that race. And I think his record yesterday, he was in Snapchat with me. He sent me a message. He said that by the end of that Xfinity race, he was up to number 7.
Ooh.
So
who's that Nathan's guy?
Man.
What's that? Joey Chestnut? Is that the Nathan's champion? The guy that apparently he's working towards a goal there. But again, we are on lap 137 here. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in here. Again, PTR TV. If it's your first time, consider a like, subscribe, check out our Facebook, all that fun stuff. If you're new to the league, again, 3Y TV. That's where our buddy Andre, who's helping us out tonight, 3Y TV. They cover about 75% of the races for this series, so they'll be covering next week at Bristol Dirt. We will be back at Talladega the subsequent week, and then I think you guys are carrying quite a bit until probably, I think, June-ish, if memory serves. So between the two channels, we will get all of your 100% Cup Series action covered, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that.
Yeah, a lot of really good racing in this series, and we just saw a payback with Hutchison and DeCunha. You know, no harm, no foul. They just kind of bumped him out of the way. And,
Gotta check that out from
Hutchison now up to 7th as after that contact with DeCunha back a couple positions.
on the
only back to
replay.
9th.
There, he sent it from about 3-car like that. That's just a classic bump and run. Even if nothing ever happened, you can't say a word about that. That's just Martinsville moves right there.
absolutely. And, you know, I kind of called it. I said Ralph's a smart guy. He's not going to go wreck DeCunha. He might just move him, and that's exactly what he did. And honestly, props to DeCunha as well. That was a pretty good hit to the left rear, and DeCunha kept that thing underneath him. I think a lesser driver might have been going around with that kind of impact, but everybody kept it pointed in the right direction, and that's the beauty of this league, man. The competition, the drivers in this league are so great at what they do that, yeah, you can get a little bit up close and personal and not really worry too much about it. But that 54, man, he is on a mission. I think that incident lit a fire underneath him because those lap times are pretty phenomenal.
Well, just as the queue brings up, we'll bring up the lap times. Ottinger in the last time by ran a 45 to Delaney's 78, but Delaney's kind of in a battle with Hoytsma there, so that may have led to that. And let's see, Hutchison at 8, so still 3.5 tenths off your leader, but I mean, Ottinger for the most part's in his own zip code, barring a couple laps here and there, so nothing to be too ashamed of.
Yeah, Hutchison is in traffic as well, which Ottinger is kind of getting some clear track here. You know, you would expect to see Hutchison kind of get up through this field pretty quickly as he is on the freshest tires out there of everyone else. Right on the back bumper of that number 20 machine. And that 20 is just kind of holding him up a little bit here. He's doing a pretty good job of it. He's not really... Oh, saw someone almost go around just behind them. Trying to see, looks like that was the 81 Ryan Samuelson. Just got really loose out of 4, hung on to it, and we stay green.
I want to point out that just a couple laps ago, John Delaney had a terrifying moment. He was coming down the back straightaway, and right where that break is in the wall for the pit road entry, somebody was down low as if they were going to go into the pits, but then their car kind of veered right and actually jumped the curb across the grass right in front of Jonathan Delaney, as well as Giglio, who I think was near him at the time. And, I mean, I don't think you could have put a piece of paper between them when that car jumped the curb in front of John. It was an incredibly close call. Very scary to watch. But despite that, John is still in P2, about 1.7 seconds back from the leader, working his way around some lap traffic here, the number 44. I believe that's Randy Drumhiller piloting that car. Lucas Hoytsma then trying to get around him as well. But, yeah, you don't got to look far to see the action at this track.
Yeah, so I think good as time as any. Well, before the stage will be on lap 180, so about 32 to go for that. We'll do a quick through the field of our lead lap drivers. So, as we've talked about many a time, Nick Ottinger dominating the race with a 2-second lead. Jonathan Delaney in the 2nd spot. Lucas Hoytsma having a great run in 3rd. Blake Giglio in the 4th spot, again having a great run. Matt White in that 48, solidly in the top 5. Devin Medeiros clicking his way up, started 13th. Now he's up to the 6th spot. As we've spoken about, points leader Ralph Hutchison closing in back to where he was. He's in 7th. Raymond Root in 8th. Ryan Ducombe in 9th, and then Sammy Bury hanging on to the top 10 in the 64 machine.
In the rest of the lead lap machines, we have the number 56 Mason Lowry in the 11th position. In 12th, we have the 83 of Adam Benefiel. In the 13th position, we have the 81 Ryan Samuelson, who had that moment earlier on in this race, but he keeps it straight. And then in the 14th position, we're going to have the number 28 of Alex Murray. In 15th, we have the number 70 of Michael Christopher. In the 16th position, we're going to have the 29 of Tanner Marty. And then the last car on the lead lap is going to be that number 5 machine of Kyle Ammon.
All right, those are our lead lap drivers here. Oh, someone loose. Who was that?
Good save, though.
Can't quite tell who that was, but somebody in that dark purple and blue car had quite the endeavor there off of quarter number 4.
Trying to see who that was as well.
Someone who we haven't talked about too much, guys. I always like to give, as a lot of us know on iRacing or even in real world, running anything is rather difficult. Being the leader of anything is quite difficult. So league admin here who do a great job. Damaris Hickenbottom, the 00, he's in 23rd right now. And Kevin Steele in 24th. So they're both 1 lap down. So I guess battle of the admin, 1 lap down. It looks like the 24 has been through the ringer here tonight. Both front, side, back. I think the only thing clean is the roof, but there's still 200 and some odd laps to fix that.
Yeah, no rear bumper on that 24 machine, so only thing he has left to do is take care of that roof, which, like you were saying, we definitely have time for that. About 250 laps to go now, but only 25 left in this stage. Looks like Ottinger is probably going to be able to get this stage win, but Delaney is not letting him get too far. We saw this earlier on in that first stage. These guys seem to be kind of be the class of the field out here. About 1.2 seconds back right now, or actually down to just 1 second back, is Delaney. About a 10.5 quicker last time by. They're both in traffic here, so it's just going to kind of be whoever can manage it the best.
And John, he's a very aggressive driver. He tends to not wait around for anybody. So as a result, it's kind of natural that he is one of the best in the field when it comes to getting around lap traffic, because he won't always wait for them to step out of line and make room. If there is no room, if there is no gap, sometimes John makes his own gap, and that allows him to get through lap traffic pretty quickly, as opposed to some of these other guys who may be a little more patient and wait for these guys to sort it out amongst themselves. So to see John closing in is not much of a surprise, but the number 25, Nick Ottinger, he's working his way around Damaris Hickenbottom in that 00. And I'll tell you what you might call damage, I think Damaris is going to call it dynamic weight reduction as he comes through 3 and 4 and the yellow flag flies.
59
I see the
machine.
59 involved. Chad Sanner.
Second time tonight he's been of issue.
Trying to see if that's where it started. Looks like no, it started with the 64 Sammy Boree. Turn number 4.
Gotta go a little bit further back here on our replay. 64 machine, as we discussed, he's 3 and 4. Everything seems fine, and round she goes, but it bit right, and boom. 59 machine. Oh, and then somebody else too, Samuelson, it looks like, lost the front end on that deal.
That overcorrecting is something that a lot of these drivers are struggling with in this next-gen car. We haven't seen it quite as much at the short tracks like we did right there, but especially at the larger 1.5 circuits, these drivers have said that the car kind of wants to snap loose. And as a driver, inherently, you want to counter steer. You want to try to correct that slide. But when you do that, this car kind of grabs and it just darts in the opposite direction, almost like what you'd see an Indy car do. And that's largely a result of the ground force that this car generates. It does have a diffuser on it. So that kind of quick change in direction can be attributed largely to that. And these guys are really struggling with it. So it was a great effort at recovering for the 64, but unfortunately just kind of darted up into traffic. And it's not good news for that 59, because I would have to imagine, you pointed out, Corey, that's not the first time he's been involved in something. That incident limit has to be creeping up on him.
Yeah, and another thing about these cars overcorrecting, they have a completely different steering box in these cars now than they used to, so you have a lot less feel in the wheel, and it's also a lot more sensitive So if you do just kind of overcorrect a little bit, it's a lot easier for it to bite you right now with that less feel, and also just being more sensitive. But out there, it looks like most of the field's staying out under this caution. Only about 20 laps to go in this stage, probably about 15 or so whenever we get back under green. So I expect everyone to kind of just stay out here, then come down and get tires once this stage is over.
Yep, so that will leave probably about 15 to 16 laps. I think, let's see, someone is getting their free pass right there. Looks like, oh, actually, I got baited on that. Thought it looked like the 6 was speeding up. I thought he was getting the free pass, but believe it was
it's like Tanner Marty.
Yeah, Tanner Marty, I
got
believe.
the free pass in that 29 machine.
So that puts us back up to 16 drivers on the lead lap, and that's kind of what happens here at Martinsville, guys, is you get these long green flag runs where it gets strung out, and lappers, they keep getting chopped off one by one. But as you have more cautions, that lead lap count starts to go back up, and by the end of the race, sometimes you're back up to 20, 25 guys on the lead lap at the end of it.
Yeah, and there's about 34 cars out there that could get back onto the lead lap here. Damien Asarenza is the last of those drivers. He's 6 laps down. Everyone behind that is 45 or more laps down, so that's going to be very hard to get back. But everyone else, it's definitely possible if we get a few cautions here back to back, which we definitely could see, as we have kind of seen a lot more cautions in this part of the race than we did earlier on. So we'll just have to see if that does continue to play out, or maybe we'll get another green flag run here. We know we'll only have about 15 laps until the next caution, but after that we might be able to get some green flag in.
I mentioned earlier I would not want to be a strategist for any of these teams, and I kind of double down on that statement because there's really no rhyme or reason to this. We've had some really long green flag runs. We've had some consecutive cautions. When it comes to the end of this race and trying to figure out, how are we going to finish this thing out in a long green flag run or in a flurry of cautions, it's anybody's game. I mean, I don't know. It could go either way, and I think if you're trying to plan out the future of this race, you're going to have a hard time. But there goes the pace car down pit road. Nick Ottinger, John Delaney, that is a strong front row, and it'll be a battle between these guys. Sparks will fly as the 25 works his way out of turn 4, and I believe we have delayed the yellow flag one more time as we get to the start-finish line. Well, they got me too, Corey. Don't feel too bad.
Well, the interesting thing about how this is going to work is the pace car is going to enter the track for the better part of about 600 feet and then immediately re-exit just because of how short and the configuration of the racetrack is. So there goes the pace car back on the track, and
extended again.
All right, well,
so we'll have one more lap here under yellow.
They're making us liars over here, guys. They're making us liars.
My question is, with the pace car completing that lap using pit road as part of the circuit, can we give the pace car an off-track penalty?
I think we could do that, or maybe a cut in the course penalty, because he held his ground.
Hey, if iRacing ever gets around to giving this place a genuine and proper upgrade, where there's actually asphalt on the inside of the corners, it would be mathematically impossible to get an off-track here. Hint, hint, QQ. But we'll hesitantly say that, as my pal Brandon Kreutz from PTR TV would say, we'll rack 'em, stack 'em, get 'em doubled up, stacked up, and ready to go back green flag racing as the iRacing pace car goes into pit road. And so far, all seems go. So we'll assume we're gonna get it going this time by Ottinger gets on that throttle, green flag back in the air. Now the question is, can Delaney get back to the inside and clear for second? Answer is going to be no. He's going to have Hoytsman to the inside.
Delaney's still out there in the outside lane now, able to get clear of that 07 of Hoytsman top 5, now all single file. Worked out for Delaney. He had a really good run out of turn 2 in that outside lane first battle. And we have a car spinning through 3 and 4, yellow back out. Trying to see number 5, Kyle Ammon.
All right, loaded up on our replay here. He's down the back straightaway with a 70 underneath him. And hard to tell there. We might try to go on board with the 70 if we can. A little bit further back here. This is through turns 1 and 2. But we'll see what happened through 3 and 4. Ammon's on that outside. He dove it on in there. Just
I don't think the 70 just nailed this. Maybe we talked about the brakes and stuff, guys. Maybe he just didn't quite get on the binders the way he needed to, overdrove the corner a little bit, but definitely a little bit of help going around there.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Ammon. He just got back up onto the lead lap. Thankfully, not a whole lot of damage from that incident. He's still out there in the 13th position, as it looks like pretty much everyone is staying out here. Only 10 laps to go in this second stage. We'll have to see, after we get back after the second stage. I'll be curious to see if we can get some green flag laps in, because now we're getting to kind of the intensity point of everyone's trying to get these stage points. They're driving really aggressively. 17 cars on the lead lap, so everyone is trying to get into that top 10. So I'll be curious, after this second stage, we might be able to finally get some green flag laps back in like we saw at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the case, but we're going to take a breather here as the cautions are getting a little subsequent. We're going to take a breather here and grab a drink and rest our voices for a sec. Go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back with you for the restarts.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams, race with friends, or real.
And we're back here after a quick little break here. Back on PTR TV, got race number 8 of the 100% Cup Series live at Martinsville Speedway, closing in on the end of stage 2. As we have Nick Ottinger leading it down, John Delaney on the outside of the front row, Hoytspa and Giglio in row number 2. Pace car is in, getting ready for action here. It'll be 7 laps to go in the stage. Ottinger goes really early in the box, getting this race back underway.
Delaney once again not able to clear, immediately down for that second position side by side through turns number 1 and 2. Hoytsma had a really good run there through turns number 1 and 2, almost able to clear side by side dead even down into 3 and 4. We'll have to see if Delaney can get it run. Here coming to 6 laps to go to the end of the stage, still dead even at the line.
Tell you what, that number 6 car has something that I don't think anybody else in this field has, and that is speed.
Out once again.
79 machine of Matthew Gaskins around on the front straightaway.
And that might end up ending the stage here. We'll have to see if they can get back underway.
I'll tell you what, I'll go pop into the admin chat real quick and I'll clarify whether or not that's the end of the stage. I will be right back.
All right. Andre's going to do a little running for us as the replay is on the screen right now. Looks like the 70 just kind of turned a little bit lower than expected off the corner and into the 79 from the onboard. Yeah, the 70 just kind of held a little bit tighter of a line, probably a little bit more so than the 79 was thinking. Kind of hard to call fault on that. Kind of just, stuff, I guess, just happens, I guess, if you want to call it that. But either way, an unfortunate break, because everyone's going to come down pit road, so this must be the stage because everyone is coming down pit road.
Can confirm. I went ahead and asked Kevin if that was going to end the stage. He said, yep, we're done for that stage. So wherever the drivers were when that caution came out, that is how these stage points will be distributed. Everybody's going to be able to get 4 fresh Goodyears and some fuel. Ooh, Lucas Hoytsma a little bit past his pit stall. And, that's something we haven't really talked about tonight, guys. This pit road is one of the most challenging, I think, out of any on the circuit, because for drivers like Lucas Hoytsma, your pit stall is in a left-hand hairpin, and you can't really see that well outside of your driver's side window in this car. Your field of view is extremely limited, so if you have one of those stalls in the corner, it's kind of guesswork when it comes to getting in there aligned properly, and obviously we just saw what can happen if you're just a little bit too late.
Yeah, particularly with different league set rules, you may be able to give a little bit more knowledge to this, Andre. Some leagues have specific rules that, you know, on the official series at iRacing, you can kind of cheat the pit road a little bit and just run through the stalls. But if you do run the pit road realistically, as we should, it's challenging to find your stall, it's challenging to get in your stall, and again, manage the speed limit as well.
Yeah, this league, they do require drivers stay as far to the right as reasonably possible. So they don't want drivers too close to the pit stall. They definitely don't want them running through too many pit stalls. I believe 3 is the maximum, just like real life. So, yeah, it really does make it even more challenging for these guys.
Hey, Evan. Didn't you get a pit road speeding penalty in one of those races that I beat you in?
I did. I believe that was Cup here as well, and I got a speeding penalty and had a lot of damage, but I still managed to come up here and finish right on your bumper.
Yeah, you did, but I was ahead of you. Just, you know, little personal nudges. You know, we don't get to do those anymore. We don't race enough anymore. So, and every time I do race, I'm back in the pack because I don't know. I just lost my touch, guys. But let's bring up our race analysis, our race recap. I think it is. Yes, it is. Race recap. 9 cautions for 50 laps, so approximately 30+% of this race has been behind the pace car, so not the best statistic, but hopefully it will even out over the course of the race. 2 leaders for, well, with 8 lead changes. Not quite sure how those statistics came about, but that's what it says, so that's what we'll go with.
Yeah, I do think now once we get back underway here, we are going to have some longer green flag runs, as we are under 1 to green, but I do believe it is going to get extended by at least a lap here. And something I want to point out, Dustin Hall on that number 1 machine, he did stay out on older tires. He has about 74 laps on his tires, as yes, the lights do come back onto that pace car. I'll be kind of curious to see if he can hold on. I don't really know if he'll be able to. That is, 70 lap older tires. Going up against Nick Ottinger, that's going to be pretty hard to do. But we'll see if he can hang on. I think the goal for him at this point with those old tires, stay up there in the top 10, top 5, and just try and save us that.
I'm not sure if Dustin is under the impression that the stage points are awarded on lap 180, even if it's under yellow. Maybe that's why he stayed out. That's not the case. Stage points are awarded at the time of caution, I believe. So not entirely certain what the leading factor was in that decision, but it's going to be interesting, especially if you're John Delaney. You know, you got somebody ahead of you on 70+ lap older tires, but he's fixing to find out how this is going to play out, because here we go out of turn 4. I believe we're good to go green this time for real. And there we go. Dustin Hall on the loud pedal. The 25 staying nose to nose as they barrel into turn 1. Jonathan Delaney with a bit of a bump. That's going to push himself wide. The 48 now looking to make a move as they're 3 wide behind him with Lucas Hoytsma.
7 Hoytsman went really wide there through 1 and 2. Had a bit of contact from that number 6. Everyone got through it somehow, and Nick Ottinger up to the lead. Dustin Hall hanging on to 2nd. John Delaney in 3rd. Matt White 4th. Battle right now is for the 5th position with Hoytsma and the 8 of Raymond Root. Haven't talked about him a whole lot this race. Started back in 22nd up there in the 6th position now, battling for 5th underneath that 07 of Hoytsma. Everyone out there is currently on some pretty even tires, except for Dustin Hall in that 1. Let's see how long Hall can hang up with those guys, as right now he's running fairly comparable lap times to the ones behind him.
Just pulling up our lap graphic here on the screen. Ottinger ran a 13 last time by. It'll be a good comparison between 2nd and 3rd this time by. Let's see, crossing the stripe, a 41 for Hall to a 32 for Delaney, so not too far off as Ottinger just says, hey, I'm going to run a 05 and just, obliterate you guys, but that's kind of how the night's been going. So, but yes, surprisingly, 70 some odd lap old tires. Hall just needed some track position. He's got a car to play with tonight.
Yeah, 19 flat
Caution
once again out of Ottinger. Let's see what that was
DeCunha. Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Let's see. We got some doings here.
Let's see what happened here. Is that going to be?
Let's try to get cued in here on the perfect angle for you guys. Let's cue it right here, coming through 3 and 4. He's underneath Root. A little bit of contact there.
it just went around on him. There was a little contact in the center of the corner, but I don't think that really had much to do with the spin. It just kind of looped on him on exit.
I'm not sure if maybe after the contact, he was just trying to have a lot of wheel into it to the left. He's trying to keep it off of Raymond Root a little bit more. Trying to look here and see what happened.
Hall comes into the pits.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wheels on DeCunha. Looks like he had a lot of wheel into it there after he made contact with the 8, and it finally just kind of bit and turned around on him. But not a whole lot of damage on that, and it really didn't affect Raymond Root in that number 8 a whole lot. Probably just going to be a little upset with that 99, but nothing too bad there.
All right, so one person, the last of our 4 onboard drivers we haven't talked to today. He hasn't really had too great of a race, but he still deserves his time in the sun. We're going to see if we can grab Cody Bird in the number 13 machine. He's currently in the 29th position. Talk to our onboard driver here today. All right, Cody, Corey, PTR TV, you got me, buddy?
Yeah, I think I got you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear. Obviously not having the a run to write too much home about tonight, running 29th in the with 2 laps down, but overall, how's your race been, and what are you kind of hoping to salvage out of this?
Well, I'm hoping to just kind of finish right at this point. I mean, it's been kind of frustrating, obviously.
Sorry if we helped you screw up your pit road there.
Sorry, I was trying to get in my box there. Nah, I was just paying tribute to one of Dirt's old drivers, Bryce. But yeah, no, it's been frustrating, but nothing I can really do. It's Martinsville, it's short track racing, and we'll just keep playing the cards here and hope maybe gain some positions through attrition.
All right, obviously attrition has been coming hot and heavy lately, so there's a high probability of that. So we'll wish you some good luck, man. Follow up on you in the rest of the race, and do what you can out there, boss.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
All right, see if one of you guys can bring him up to his team. That's Cody Bird. Got him running in the 29th position. Just kind of caught in the shuffle here tonight. Maybe on the next caution, we'll talk to our stage winner, Ottinger. We didn't get the opportunity to, but we'll try to do that on the next yellow if the time does become available. So going back to our keys to the race, guys, just to kind of, as we're closing it on halfway, our keys to the race were patience or aggression. Well, for the first 120 laps, it was patience. Obviously, aggression has taken over. Shifting, we followed up on that where there was a lot of guys, at least from our telemetry, running in third. Haven't heard too much in the way of that. Maybe we'll take a little bit more gander into that in the second half of the race. And definitely survival is, especially with these last 100 laps and all these cautions, definitely is going to be something to watch out for these last 200 laps.
Yeah, survival absolutely kicking in, as I do believe we'll be going back to some patience here once we get back underway with, just over 210 laps to go. Now as we see if we get the 1 to green here, and we do, so they're going to get doubled up behind that iRacing.com pace car. Ottinger to the inside, Delaney in the 6 to the outside, and just behind them, the 48 of Matt White on the inside. And to his outside, we're going to have the 07 of Lucas Hoytsma in fourth, as they come down the back straightaway here, getting ready for that pace car to pull down into pit lane. And he does do so, so let's see when Ottinger decides to fire off here in the box. He can go anytime he wants to between the pace car and here, and he does fire off easily clear of that number 6 machine, as that is where the battle is right now, the 6 versus the 48 down into turn number 1. 6 burning pretty high through 1 and 2, 48 sliding up the track just a little bit here, and 6 Delaney able to clear him down the back straightaway.
And I'll tell you what, Delaney using that high line speed, I was actually going to mention that right as one of those yellow flags flew, but there's something that number 6 has that nobody else does, and that's high line speed. It seems like everybody else wants to get down to that curb as close as they can, as quickly as they can. And if they get shuffled up to that high lane, there's not a whole lot they can do. They just kind of bleed positions until eventually they do find an opening to move down a lane. Case in point, Lucas Hoytsma, he's been moving backwards ever since he got trapped up there. But the number 6, you put him up in that high lane, lane, and somehow, every time, he's able to get clear of whoever he's battling. There is so much speed in that number 6 that he's able to run the high line like nobody else can. And if this race comes down to a late race restart, which, as Corey pointed out, 30% of this race has been run under yellow, I think it's pretty likely it will. If it happens, that number 6 is going to have a huge advantage.
Yeah, Toysman does get down to the inside lane. The battle now for the 5th position with the 20th of Alex Murray, 83 of Adam Benefield is cleared for that position. Lucas Hoisman coming back to the inside of that 28 machine of Murray down at the front straightaway here. We'll have to see if, and we have someone spinning behind them. Caution is out.
Mason Lowry of the 56 machine, the Blue Moon. Can't quite see the manufacturer from this angle.
Blue Moon Mustang out there out of 4.
Well, it's a Ford, that's why it spun out. Not a Ford guy. Little jokes. But we'll take a look at the replay here, see what happened to him. Enter and turn.
Through 3 and 4. Yep. Looks like just got loose, maybe?
Yeah.
No one around him. Yeah, just got loose out of 4, locked it down. No harm, no foul on that car.
He had to be at least the 5th.
Seen a lot of that tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, he had to have been at least the 5th driver who's just had that. And it's such an abrupt situation too. It's not like a slow, you're fighting it goes around. It's literally probably at the point of acceleration, just boop, and it just goes right around. Just boop.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the slow ones you can kind of try and catch and save, but if it just boop, if you just have that, then you really can't do much about it.
I tell you what, Evan, a little bit ago you mentioned that you think it's going to swing back to patience at the end of this race, and I think you're right, because one thing that I'm starting to consider at this point, I mean, we're just under halfway, we'll be over halfway when we go green. If these drivers don't settle themselves down, I think the incident limit is going to settle them down for them, because some of these drivers can't be too far off of that limit. It is set fairly low compared to other leagues and much lower than official races. So some of these guys that are continually getting involved in things, spinning, just spinning out alone is worth a 1x, but some of this contact that we've seen, that's 4x on its own. Some of these drivers are getting closer and closer to being DQ'd, and I think as this race progresses, we're going to see a few cars get pulled from the session. And once that field thins out, the green flag runs are going to be more prominent, and the patience is going to kind of come back in style, I think.
Yeah, 3 or 4 major hits can easily take you out of this race through that incident limit. But the guys I'm looking at right now are those top 3, Matt White and Delaney, let me see. Yeah, Matt White, Delaney, and Nick Ottinger. They all have very clean cars. I don't see any damage on either any 3 of those cars. So they're pretty safe at the moment. I'm assuming with 0x. Nothing from major contact at least. But, everyone on back behind them has kind of had a run-in with somebody. And it's probably up to at least 4x.
So we obviously, for guys who are just tuning into the broadcast, we are experimenting with our cameras tonight. We have 4 onboard drivers. Unfortunately, one of them did have an incident, so he's no longer with us. So I do have the graphic up here, so I had to fill the box with something. So, oh no, Hutchison dropped his camera too. Now I gotta fill. Now I gotta fill
another box.
I gotta fill 2 boxes in here. So this is a travesty. But we did have 4 drivers on our live camera segment. Now we have 2. So now I have to fill another box in, so that'll be my new side job. But that's going to be a feature, at least we do here on PTR TV. We're working on it here, onboard cameras. Next time we'll try to do it on a track that isn't known to nearly as much attrition. But lights were out on the pace car, and they've relit themselves, so now a little more time to kill.
Yeah, lights back on under that pace car, still top 2. Top 4 even all still pretty much the same. Only difference is now we have the 83 of Adam Benefield up there in that 4th position, replacing the 07 of Hoytsma, who is now back in 6th. But Ottinger, he's been the one to watch this whole race, the car you gotta beat, and we'll see if anyone can do it as we do come back to 1 to green here for hopefully the last time of this caution.
Everybody's swerving back and forth, getting some heat in those tires. Maybe a tall order to get heat in the tires when we're racing at night. We've been pacing so much, and that's the thing, man. You got to think these tires are getting colder and colder the more pace laps we're running, and we're really only staying green for a lap or 2 at a time as of this last stint. So these guys are going to be trying to get all the heat in those things that they possibly can. But there goes the pace car, and I believe we will actually be going green this time. According to the driver radio, I heard the admins confirm that. Number 25 down on that curb, he gets on the loud pedal and actually has to lift. I think he got a little bit unstable and had to get back off the throttle. He kept the lead though, regardless. Here comes the 48 down low on the number 6. And here we go. Another driver is going to make a swing at the 6 on the low line, but can he do it? No, the 6 gets cleared, ducks down, and that's going to put him safely in P2.
Matt White back in that third position, now under fire from that 83 of Adam Benefield down to the inside through turns number 1 and 2. Easily clears the 48. I think he overshot that corner just a little bit. Back to, looks like about 7th now, is that 48 of Matt White. He restarted in third, dropping back now, stuck on that outside lane. Has the 20 of Alex Murray to his inside. Clear of Murray, is that 20 of Medeiros going to get down there? He does. So Adam White stuck there on the outside, and he has a long line of cars there behind him, down just hugging that curb. We'll see if the 48 can maybe get behind him. He does do so, just barely. Hutchison now to the outside through 3 and 4. Don't see that move made too much, but he gets back in line.
Yeah, I think Hutchison did that move more out of a safety perspective than a choice. He just wanted to do whatever he could do to get out of the way.
Again. Let's see what happened on this one. Ooh, parking lot on the front stretch.
Oh my goodness, yeah. 79 around, 53 around.
24, 77, 70, 00. A lot of cars involved in this one.
Yeah, we'll have to queue up our chopper cam here, try to see if we can source the...
Like it started with the... It's at the 65 and the 70 through 3 and 4 is where it starts.
All right, let's go back a little bit further. 65 and 70 side by side, entering corner number 3. 670 got loose. 70 got loose.
Kind of stayed loose.
Calm into him. Everybody's funneling some marker brake action going on there. Hickenbottom into it as well. 44 just came to a dead stop. As that's kind of what you have to do at Martinsville. There's not really places to hide when that kind of stuff happens. So.
Yeah, so the thing is the 70, he just kind of got loose there on entry. I think he had a little bit too much rear brake bias in that car, just kind of locked their rears up, and it just got a little bit loose there on entry, and just kind of stayed loose throughout that entire corner. Then eventually he just kind of lost it there on exit. So tough break for him, and a lot of other cars involved in that one, but top 5, top 10 looks like all stayed out. Just past halfway here at Martinsville, 190 laps to go here.
And for those watching this live, so... the real world race did go live a little bit late due to weather conditions. But due to cautions, the real world race is actually about to pass us in terms of completion rate. So kind of having a race versus the race. It's kind of a cool little dynamic that you don't have too often. But the rate we're going, guys, I think we're going to lose.
Yeah, I think it's not looking too good for the 100% Cup Series to beat out the real-life race here. I also want to point out in that last incident, some pretty quick thinking by Damaris Hickenbottom. He was involved in that incident, but as soon as it started to break out, Damaris lit up the driver radio and he started saying, parking lot, parking lot, parking lot, basically letting everybody behind him know that there was a parking lot. They had to slow down and stop, because when those drivers come out of turn 4 and when they're in the middle of the corner, they can't see what's ahead of them. They have no clue. If somebody doesn't key up the mic and say what's going on, you could have had a lot more cars than we even had barrel out of that corner, get involved. But thanks to that kind of heads up, a few drivers were able to kind of get their cars woed up and avoid any potential damage. So very quick thinking. Camera focused in on that number 79 now, Matthew Gaskins. That is a driver who's not had a good night, boys. He's had a lot of pace, but he's been involved in almost every incident, and it's never his fault. I mean, he spun on his own at the start of the race, and I guess you could say that's his fault. But it seems like he's just been in the wrong place 3 or 4 times now. And still, even with all that damage, he's able to kind of keep on trucking. But, man, horrible luck for that 79.
Yeah, you've seen from a couple different perspectives that we've had is there's a lot of drivers, a lot of vehicles out here that look like, SK modifieds or just something that is not relative to a NASCAR NextGen Cup machine with all the body panels taken off, entirely missing, heavily damaged. But the thing with Martinsville is aero's not too big of a deal here. As long as you have power and as long as it's driving straight, for the most part, you could still compete at a modestly high, rate of speed. So that's going to keep a lot of these drivers into it. After all this damage, we still have 21 drivers on the lead lap, last one being Patrick Mouchet in the 46 machine. We have Michael Christopher and Damaris Hickenbottom, 2 drivers 1 lap down, 3 or 4 drivers that are 2 laps down. So while this is a calamity, the attrition's really not there, guys. These guys are staying in it.
Yeah, very, you know, sometimes it can be very hard to, after you get involved in one of these wrecks, to still have the motive to keep out there and keep running. But, you know, very surprising to see this many cars still out there running after 200 laps here at Martinsville, and especially after all the kind of calamity we have seen so far. But everyone, you know, most of the field, about 34 cars still out there turning laps. The last of those being Damian Asarenza, as we are coming through turns number 3 and 4 here. You're ready to go back under the green flag. Pace car already in pit road. Ottinger fires off, clear easily, but big battle here. Adam Benefiel almost clear the 6 already down into turn 1. I don't know if that outside lane is going to be able to save Delaney, and it does not. Benefiel is cleared, not quite shutting the door on him down into turn number 3. Benefiel easily going to clear here once again, and will shut the door here out of turn number 4. So Delaney back to 3rd now.
Now it is worth it to note Ottinger and Benefiel are both on the exact same setup. Benefiel may have made a few tweaks here or there just to kind of get the car more in line with his personal preference for feel, but the baseline setup is going to be the same. So you know, with how fast that 25 has been, the 83's got to be pretty quick as well. Obviously, Adam Benefiel is no stranger to the podium and no stranger to victory lane in the 100% Cup Series. So to see Ottinger and Benefiel 1-2, not a large surprise, but it is probably a scary sight for the competition because Benefiel's been fast all night. The only thing that he's lacked is that track position to be able to kind of try to drive away from these guys. Now he's got that track position, although John Delaney is not too far back trying to make a run at it. And on your screen right here, this is a side-by-side battle with the number 07, Lucas Hoitzma, and Devin Medeiros in the number 20. These guys are very evenly paced, working their way through 3 and 4. And, you know, we haven't talked about Medeiros a lot, guys, but he's had a silently good night. I mean, every time I look at that scoring pylon, he's up there in the top 10, and it seems like there's not a scratch on that machine. So big shout out to Medeiros for a consistent fast night.
Yeah, good night going forward. Medeiros is Hoitzma. You know, he started up in 3rd, now back to 7th. Ooh, 20 of Medeiros just goes really high up there through 3 and 4. Now side-by-side battle once again between the 07 and 20. Close there. A little bit of contact between 3 cars
Hutchison.
there. Hutchison around into
I hope he's not stuck. I know that sometimes, you know, he's good, but
be a lot of front-end damage to that car.
Well, let's go load up the replay yet again. That replay has been rather busy upon this evening, but we'll see indeed what happened. Go on our chopper cam if we can. Ralph Hutchison
kind of got stacked up, it looks like, into 3. 20 trying to get back down into the inside.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, he did have a little rear bumper action to the driver in front of him, the number 20, but hard to tell from that perspective why the car kind of had that weird little hook motion to it, but indeed it did, so.
Well, I think what happened there was when he made that contact, it shifted the weight of the car to the front, which then made the rear end a little bit light. So he kind of had to try to countersteer there. And like we saw so many times tonight, when you try to countersteer this car, sometimes it just grabs. And that's exactly what happened. And what surprises me the most is that he wasn't able to get that car stopped before the contact with the wall, because he got on the brakes almost immediately. And you mentioned earlier, Evan, how much bigger the brakes are on this car. It seemed like such a lazy slide into the wall, and yet it just didn't seem to stop.
I was kind of surprised by that as well. He hit that wall still pretty hard, even though he wasn't going too fast there in the center of the corner. We'll have to see how much damage that does do to his car, as he is back on pit road getting some damage fixed. He didn't stop and get tires or anything, just trying to get some damage fixed on that machine.
All right, and while we were dealing with this, guys, I was able to fill in the last driver on our 4-cam. So, could see Cody Bird and Kyle Lambin, the last 2. And unfortunately, oh, no, Ralph's back. Ralph's back. Remove the Patrick. There's Ralph. So 3 of our 4 camera drivers are on camera still.
Again, next week, our next race is Talladega, so that is another attrition race, so I'm not actually sure if that's a good race to do that feature on, because we might still have attrition as well. But again, features that we're messing around today. Kyle's face may express that he might have the broadcast up in his house, but regardless, pace car, still at least 2 laps to go. Adam Benefiel is your leader. Nick Ottinger did have a pit stop on that caution, so he is going to be back to the 18th spot. He is one of the only drivers to pit, surprisingly. So now, guys, this is something that does happen from time to time, where you have a driver who is not running full time, he's dominating. Did Ottinger just pit to be bored and just try to pass people?
Oh, he absolutely did. Ottinger, he likes to toy with the field. I've been in Discord with him while he's racing before, and there are many times where his crew chief will kind of goad him on. He'll say, "You're faster than these guys. Go ahead and come down pit road and make a challenge out of it." That was literally what his crew chief said one time, so I would imagine he's doing something similar here. He knows he's got a rocket ship underneath him, and he's just here to have fun. But I do want to point out, under the yellow flag, somebody got a black flag for a pit road infraction. I'm not entirely certain who it was, but that does lead me to a point I wanted to make from earlier tonight when we saw John Delaney get that pit exit penalty. In this league, for the viewers at home, black flags are not up for debate. There will be no appealing them during a race because the admins are in the race, so obviously they can't really review things to see whether or not a black flag was really crucial to give to the driver, or whether it could have been waived. But they kind of leave it up to the driver to say, all right, well, if you don't want a black flag, don't get one, because we can't review it, and it's not really a thing to debate. So just something to keep in mind for these guys, especially with the tricky pit road that we have. But I think we might actually be going green this time, guys.
Yeah, come down the back straightaway. Adam Benefiel in that number 83 machine to the inside. To his outside, the number 6, Jonathan Delaney. Coming through turns number 3 and 4. Pace car down onto pit road. 83 Benefiel running a little bit higher, kind of in the middle lane here, and cutting down now on the loud pedal out of turn number 4. Crossing the start finish, easily clear over that number 6, as that is where the battle is right now for second. John Delaney in that outside. See if he can make it work. He has so far tonight. But now Alex Murray in that inside might be able to get him clear down through 3 and 4. Almost contact as the 28 does slide up the track a little bit, but 6, Jonathan Delaney, got a really good run there out of 4.
Yes, indeed, as they're going to stay side by side for second. We talked about Delaney. He's really the only one that can run a modestly competitive pace on that outside lane, as much rubber is going down in the track with all these drivers and all these laps. It's just not really doing anything in terms of grip and speed. Is a big wiggle off the exit of 4 there for Delaney. That'll end that side-by-side battle, but he's lucky to have a race car, especially how everybody else is having trouble.
Top 5 now all single file. First battle, we're going to be back for the 7th position. The number 5 Kyle Ammon to the inside of the 16 Blake Giglio. That is for 7th here down the front straightaway. Dead even, a little bit of contact there on the front stretch. 5 Kyle Ammon now clear of that 16. Just behind him, we're going to have the 64 involved in that earlier incident, but back up into the 9th position, fighting for 8th here under the 16 as well. And just everyone just trying to make some laps, get some laps under their belt here. It's 171 laps to go now. So I think this is kind of getting to the patience portion of the race. So kind of expect some green flag laps at this point.
Yeah, because remember, guys, as we've talked about it multiple times with the incident limit, I can't imagine that many of these guys have more than maybe 1 4x penalty away from being kicked out of the race. We've had so many guys in multiple incidents that it could be just one incident knocks many of these drivers out of the race. They kind of have to drive on eggshells.
Yeah, just an update on Nick Ottinger, just trying to check and see where he's at. He's up to the 13th position, so about plus 5 spots from where he restarted. I'm kind of a little bit surprised that it's not a little bit further up there, but maybe he's just trying to save his stuff a little bit. He did run a 1934 last time by compared to the leaders 19. So you're in a 34 compared to the leaders 1944. It's about a 10th faster from Ottinger, but he is back in traffic. So I think we'll just continue to see him slowly but surely work his way up through the field.
Oh yeah, give him time. He'll get up there, no doubt, as long as he keeps his nose clean, kind of stays out of any potential incidents. But I think you're right, Evan. We're getting into the patience portion of the race here because these guys, they don't have a whole lot in the bank when it comes to penalties. If they get too much more, they're going to be pulled off the track, and nobody wants that. So you're going to have to take it easy, and that is going to allow these guys to be a little bit more methodical in their moves. It's going to kind of force them to rein in the aggression. Ottinger makes another successful pass there. Up front, nothing changing. We still got Benefield out front, Alex Murray in second, John Delaney in third. But I want to also give a shout out to Kyle Hammond. You were talking about him, Evan. There was a time not too long ago where we were saying, well, if he gets another caution, he might get back on the lead lap. And here he is, not only on the lead lap, but inside the top 10. What a comeback it's been so far for that number 5 machine.
Absolutely. And speaking of another caution, we got another caution out there now. So I guess maybe I was wrong about that patience part. There's the 00, Damaris Hickenbottom involved in that.
League admin causes the parking lot. He caused the parking lot this time, apparently. Take a look at the replay and find that for sure.
Just something about that center of 3 and 4.
All right, he's coming down the back straightaway here on PTR TV Instant Replay. Enters 3 completely by himself. Again, just got loose and...
Something about that corner, get on the curb, and it just gets you loose.
And as slow as he was going, guys, still again with that new racket pinion steering, as slow as he was going, he still couldn't gather it up, still just kind of sloshing back and forth till it eventually went around.
I like that response by the field. You got one car stopped on the bottom of the track, and the entire field stops to let him get refired and get his car going in the right direction. I think they very easily could have just continued around him, but they were like, all right, I'm not going to take any risks. We're going to park it right here, and everybody just kind of in unison slowed down. So quick thinking by those guys, and unfortunate for Damaris. That's just one of the things about this car. I mean, you're right. He was going really slow. It seemed like he should have been able to correct that thing, but once this car gets sideways, there's not too many drivers that could save this thing.
So
I also want to point out, it looks like there's a bit of a dual incident there. 48 of Matthew White was also involved back in his 15th position.
He's gone.
Because he's behind the wall now. I believe he hit his incident limit. But yeah, he was involved on the front stretch there. A few other cars involved as well. I believe that was around the exact same time as Damaris was having his issue.
All right, but I'm sorry to cut you off, Evan. We haven't got to talk to him yet. We do want to bring up Nick Ottinger into the room for an interview here. We didn't talk to him as the stage winner, so we're talking about Nick Ottinger, our stage winner, and dominating the race. But back here in the 16th position after a pit stop, Nick, we've been talking to the booth. Was that a strategy call for tires, or were you kind of just trying to have fun with the field?
We didn't need tires. It was more of a strategy for fuel. So, we can kind of not have to take as much fuel as these guys on the next stop. We'll be better off here. And we're right on the edge to make it from here. And if we get a couple cautions, then we're good to go. So,
yeah. So
it's a tough strategy out here. Honestly, it's what time to pit, when to pit, and just not getting trapped behind a lot of cars. And we got a good car, good Logitech G machine here. Just gonna try to get back up there if it stays green and put ourselves back in the spot we need to be.
Yeah, just real quick, one more question for you, man. We've been seeing so many guys have problems on exit. It just random snapping around. Have you had any kind of issues with that? Doesn't look like it, but it's been a very common issue here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's more driver induced for that too. So, I mean, you could just pitch it way too aggressive with too much throttle, and if you're not opening the wheel up enough and then you're just abruptly opening it up at the wrong point, it can induce it pretty bad. So add that a couple times when racing around guys on the exit of the corners trying to battle to get by them, some of the lap cars and some of the lead lap cars. So it's just tedious work. It's always a battle just to be 100% in the zone, at every point you can be. So that's why it's difficult out here to race against other cars.
All right, man. Well, we'll wish you luck getting back to the field, and maybe we'll talk to you on the podium later.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that is Nick Ottinger. I think he kind of, Andre, we joked about it, but he gave the HR response there, as he said. I could tell he's practiced with the PR with his NASCAR, Coca-Cola, iRacing Series career. See, twice in a row.
Shade, though.
Right. And his team owner, William Byron's out there leading that real race as well. So see if they can both get one done tonight. But they are coming through turns number 3 and 4. just now as the pace car does pull down on to pit lane coming through 3 and 4. We'll see when will Benefiel fire off. He has Alex Murray in that 28 to his outside. Coming here out of turn number 4. Benefiel fires off a little bit late, but he does get clear of that 28. Battle now for a second with Delaney. Trying to get back up to it, not quite able to clear down into turn 1, but Alex Murray up in that outside lane. No one has been able to really make that work except for Delaney. So we'll have to see if Murray can hang on out there. Hoytsma back there in that 4th position now, right on the bumper of the number 6 machine, as Alex Murray is doing a really nice job in that outside lane. Almost cleared the number 6 out of turn 4 there, but now side by side once again through at turns number 1 and 2. And I think on that outside you kind of have about a lap or 2 before to make it work, and besides after that you really just kind of need to get down to the inside, as it looks like he is able to do so now. Top 5, top 10, now all single file.
On board with the 07 of Lucas Hoytsma now as he's closing back in on the bumper of Alex Murray here. We'll bring up his onboard statistics and kind of see what he's doing. We can confirm, at least from the telemetry, guys, we talked about it over and over, 3rd gear being the gear of preference here. Maybe we'll talk to our next interviewee about that. Took a look to the inside of Murray. Murray shut the door, and towards the end of the race, guys, when you get the door shut on you, you remember that because it's a lot less time to act on it. So we'll see if Hoytsma plays nice with Murray after that.
And right into the back bumper, just a little bit of bump there through turns number 3 and 4. Nothing, nothing to move him out of the way. Just kind of like, hey, I'm here. I didn't appreciate that. Just kind of let him know what's going on with it. That second bump isn't going to be quite as nice if Hoytsma does continue to stay behind at 28. And right behind him is still that number 20 machine of Devin Medeiros. And he's still just continuing to have a really solid night, as well as Kyle Ammon. We talked to him earlier. He's back there in the 9th position, hanging out right in that top 10. After starting 34th, he was a lap down for part of this race, but right back up into the mix of things and just in front of him, as actually a caution comes out once again. Let's see what that one
64
was for.
Is slow on the outside of 3 and 4. And I see the 42 in the pit, so we're going to focus on the 64. Cue up the replay yet again.
Yeah, it was the 64 and 42 involved down the back straightaway. Looks like, did the 64 come down a little bit? Looks like the 64 might have, I don't know if he got loose out of 2, but just turned to the left a little bit, trying to keep it out of the wall, and got into the right rear of that 42 machine. And 42 just spun right on the pit road.
Yeah, it looks like one car was coming down, one car was going up, and they just kind of got together. If you're going to spin out anywhere, I guess spinning down to pit road to get those fresh tires is probably the best place to spin. But, man, that's unfortunate for the 64 machine, because that's, if I'm counting correctly, the second 4X that he'll have tonight, as well as a couple 1Xs just for spins. So got to be inching closer to that incident limit, and it's a shame because he does have a lot of speed in that car.
Yeah, pretty split field down pit road. Looks like top 10 stayed out. Top 11 actually stayed out. Everyone behind them did come down pit road to get 4 fresh tires, including Nick Ottinger, as well as our previous race leader, Adam Benefiel. So that's going to hand the lead over to the number 6 of Delaney.
And the comeback of the race award, we at least thus far, it can go back sour. Ralph Hutchison, now he's up to 5th. He's had 2 incidents today. Super fast cars in the top 5, back to 17th, back to, spun out, tons of damage. Here he is running in the 5th spot with what appears to be a salvaged race car.
Yeah, this is Hutchison's, second comeback of the race? Because he got up into the top 10 before that previous incident, so comeback number 2 for Hutchison, and hopefully he'll be here to stay for this one, as 150 laps to go here under the lights at Martinsville Speedway. Top 5, we're going to have Jonathan Delaney, Alex Murray, Devin Medeiros, Kyle Ammon, and Ralph Hutchison rounding out the top 5. And, 3 of the 5 started in the top 10, and then we have Devin Medeiros started back in 13th, so good move for him up to 3rd. And then Kyle Ammon is probably the biggest mover of the race from 34th to 4th. Another one I want to highlight, Jason Tyler from 38th to 6th. So really good runs from all of those guys.
Yes, indeed. And again, so next week, 3 wide TV. And Andre, I'm not sure if you're
on the booth if you're on the call for that one, but 3Y TV will be next week at Dirt Bristol, and iRacing just revised Dirt Bristol to the newest configuration per 2022, so you'll be interested to see how these drivers handle that in these next-gen machines. I don't know how if you guys covered that one last year, Andre, but that should be a good one for you guys on that on 3Y.
Yep, I'll be there in the booth for that, and I was there last year as well, and it's a show, man. It's so different from what these guys are used to. I mean, a lot of these guys, they don't even touch the dirt side of iRacing, much less watch dirt racing on TV or really anything like that. I mean, most of this field is NASCAR asphalt diehards, so they get thrown on this dirt track. It's a completely different ballgame, and you see a lot of faces up front that you don't normally see, because if you do have any experience on dirt, it gives you such a huge advantage. I know Ryan Samuelson did a phenomenal job last year. He was actually one of the favorites to win at one point in that race before getting caught up in a late race incident that kind of took him out of the game. But I would expect him to have a lot of speed next week, among a few others. So it'll be fun. If you're looking forward to some dirt action, of course, tune in next week. But the here and the now, it's the paperclip. It's Martinsville. We've got Jonathan Delaney still right up here in the front row, and it might be another example of him driving away with it. We'll have to wait and see. This is the first time he's found his way to the lead since those kind of setbacks earlier. Pace car ducks into pit road. It's going to be John Delaney, Alex Murray, 1-2. Kyle Lamon, Devin Medeiros behind them, two very fast machines. And Jonathan Delaney wastes no time. He wasn't even out of the corner when he got on the throttle. 2 car lengths clear into turn 1.
Yep, down through turns number 1 and 2, top 3 all single file here. First battle, Ralph Hutchison as well as Kyle Ammon side by side, and that's for the 4th position down into turns number 3 and 4. Ammon on the outside, Hutchison to the inside. Out of turn number 4, still dead even down the front straightaway here, down into turn number 1. And everyone in the field kind of getting a little singled out here except for this battle right here, and it looks like Kyle Ammon is going to settle in behind Hutchison. So it's going to put Hutchison 4th, Ammon 5th. Rest of the field kind of singled out now. First battle, we're going to have to go back to, looks like about the 10th position. Nick Ottinger just took over 9th over that the 09 of JC Gibson. Side by side, a lot of action up here.
Yeah. He's got Lucas Hoitzman right behind him in tow. He's going to try to get around Patrick Mouchet. Patrick gained a lot of positions through strategy, and there goes the 27 around.
27 machine, that is...
09 involved as well. Or yeah, the 27.
Trying to queue this up here. Got a whole laundry list of cars to go between, so we will get that replay up in just a little bit, but it'll put us under caution once again here at Martinsville.
We have JC Gibson involved in that, as well as trying to see. It looks like Blake Giglio and Gibson were the first 2 involved in that. That's where it started through 3 and 4.
All right, we are loaded on replay right here. See that 27 machine is on focus. A little bit of contact from Giglio sends him around. Raymond route to the inside, 64. And these next-gen cars on iRacing not as structurally sound as they are in real life, so a lot of damage taken to those drivers there, but that'll put us under caution. You guys want to take any guesses? It was like 9 a little bit ago. You want to take any guesses of what we're at right now? We'll pull the graphic up.
15.
13.
Well, I'll say 12. I'll be the optimist.
Lucky 13.
Survey says 16th caution for 89 laps, but we are up to 4 leaders and 11 lead changes, so
believe it or not a caution record for Martinsville here with the 100% Cup Series.
But if we're even coming close in a 100 lap shorter race, I mean, I don't think that's really a prize that we're looking to win, nor does anybody in this race want us to win it. In comparison to the real race, they're on 118 to go, no spoilers, and we're at 140, so they started later, but they're still beating us. But again, I think last week we had a flyer go by at Richmond. That race, Evan, that just flew by. I think we only had maybe, I mean, towards the end there was a lot of calamity, but the bread and butter of that race at Richmond last week just flew by. But I think everybody kind of knows Martinsville is, maybe if there was 25 cars out here like the predictions were, this would have flew by, but where we got that full field. And again, the biggest point, guys, is that full field is still running. There are still 34 drivers actively running on the track after 261 laps and 16 or whatever cautions it was.
Yeah, and that's the issue of why we're having so many cautions out here is, you know, Richmond, we had a lot of green flag running. That's a bigger track. There was a lot more space for everyone here. We're at a half-mile paperclip track. Corners are very tight, very slow, a lot of braking, it's very easy to just overshoot your corner a little bit and take someone out, you know, intentionally or unintentionally. So that's what we've been seeing a lot of tonight, just someone locking up the tires a little bit, just driving in just a little bit too deep and getting onto their left rear. Also, we've been seeing a lot of just people getting loose through 3 and 4. It's been a real big trouble spot for everyone. So I'll be curious if we continue to see that here tonight as pace car lights are off. So we should be coming back to the green this time by top 4. We're going to have Delaney, Murray, Medeiros, and Hutchison. And then Jason Taylor rounding out the top 5. As we come down the back straightaway, we'll see if Delaney can get back up there. And caution lights are back on. So we'll be going around one more time at least. So we'll have to see here. Looks like Ottinger. Looks like, did he come down pit road again? I'm trying to see where he's in 8th position now, or 7th actually. So he'll be the 4th car on that inside lane. And I'm seeing Ottinger. He has a little bit of right rear damage on that car now that he didn't have earlier. That's kind of the thing of, you know, you start getting into the ladder into the top 10 or even into the top 15 a little bit, as where he was running. It's a lot easier to get damage out there than where he was running up front just in those lap cars. But lights are back out as we come down the back straightaway, getting ready for the pace car to head down onto pit road. There it goes. Now coming through turns number 3 and 4, Jonathan Delaney, and that number 6 machine to the inside, Alex Murray 28 to the outside, coming out of turn number 4. And Delaney fires off really good jump over Murray there. Murray down clear into turns number 1 and 2. Devin Medeiros in 3rd. Ralph Hutchison clear for 4th, as now the first battle is moving back there for 5th. It's going to be the 12 of Jason Taylor and the 83 of Adam Benefield. Almost contact there. Nick Ottinger right behind them. Double file for 2, 3, 4 rows there now.
Yeah, we were on board with the 20 on that restart, and he really got snookered by Delaney. As soon as the 20 timed the restart, the 6 said, nope, I'm not going now. I see what you're doing. And he went a second later. That gave him that massive jump over the 20. That's just kind of the restart games you got to play here. But as you said, Evan, that side-by-side battle, that is for, I believe, the 5th position. It is the 12 and the 83. Nearly a little bit of contact through the center of the corner there. Ottinger trying to figure out who's going to go. He's not going to take it 3 wide. He's going to wait patiently, and patience not really a word being used too often right now, but he's going to be able to get underneath the 83, who's still trying to fight with the 12.
Yeah, Ottinger making some smart moves out here. The 12 runs really high there through 1 and 2. That's going to allow Ottinger to clear now for, looks like, the 5th position, up back into the top 5. Ottinger's running a really smart race here. He's not pushing it. He knows he has a faster car than at least the 2 or 3 in front of him. So we'll have to see if he can get back up there into that race lead. But first battle now back between Hoytsma and the 12 of Jason Taylor. Hoytsma now clear, and that's for the, looks like, 8th position. We'll see if Hoytsma and Taylor, if that battle continues. Looks like everyone is all single file for now.
Jason S. Taylor does have a win under his belt for the 100% Cup Series. That came at a track a little bit different from where we are right now. His win came at Pocono, which is a little over 2 miles, I believe. Very different style of racing. But whenever we come to these short tracks, you do tend to see that number 12 make some moves. He's definitely no slouch at these kinds of tracks. So I would say keep an eye on him. He may not have the best car right now, a little bit of damage on that thing, and maybe a little off pace. But this could be a solid top 10 night for him if he plays his cards right. Really just out here trying to have good points days and make sure that he makes the playoffs. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, that's definitely what he's going to get. So Jonathan Delaney still out front. He's got a bit of a gap to Alex Murray, 0.8 seconds or so. Devin Medeiros is on the podium in third. He's about 1.2 seconds back. Oh, no, Ottinger, as I'm saying that, just made a strong move around Medeiros. Where did he come from, guys? Last time we checked in, he was battling for 8th. Now all of a sudden, he's making a move to get on the podium. Not far behind Alex Murray. His sights are set.
One thing
Yeah,
that
Ottinger now up to,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Ottinger now up to that third position, right on the back bumper of Murray. And can take a look here at Ottinger's lap time. It's 1923 last time by. That's been 1936 from Delaney, so about a tenth quicker. So I'd give it another probably 10-15 laps, and Ottinger should be up there.
And one thing we kind of failed to talk about with just the procession of cautions is we haven't really talked about the stint times. How many laps these guys have been on their current set of tires. And up front, Delaney and Murray, 97 laps since their last stop. Medeiros, 97 laps since his last stop. Everybody else, Ottinger, 25. Most everybody else, 25. Some guys about 50. So if you are Delaney, you're kind of praying for that next caution because you need to set yourself up for a better shot at the finish right now.
Yeah, and I don't think Ottinger and many of those other guys did take tires whenever they did come down pit road on that last time, but they just topped off with the fuel, which, you know, if this goes green to the end, we are going to absolutely be seeing some green flag pit stops here, especially out of Delaney, which they can probably go about another 40-50 laps or so. So we definitely could be seeing green flag pit stops here if we do continue under green flag conditions, but it looks like Ottinger able to get up into second. I'm trying to see where Murray went. Looks like Murray now back to third, but Ottinger made pretty quick work of him.
Well, let's be real. This is not going to go green to the end. I am debating whether or not to make a regretful bet on whether this goes green to the end. Just because if I make a bet, it's going to happen. But I was going to say if this race goes green to the end, I'll give them 50% off the next broadcast. But I don't know if I'm willing to place it yet, but it's going in my mind right now. So we'll see what, see if I decide to make that.
You see, the issue for you is you have no point in really placing that bet because it's not going to, I mean, what are you going to get out of it?
I mean, get to go to bed a little bit earlier, maybe, but that's really about it. But Ottinger is in the second position, and that second position is only about 0.5 of a second behind your leader as Delaney is sifting through some lap traffic, putting Randy Drumhiller a fourth lap down, but again still chugging along. So we've seen Ottinger all night when they were on equal tires. He was the one that was losing a huge lead in traffic. It was as if Delaney was getting through a lot easier. Well, now it's role reversal, and Ottinger has the advantage of 70 some odd lap fresher tires, or at least that's what we believe it to be anyways. But here he is right to the back bumper as they get around the 59 machine of Chad Sanner, I believe that is, who's had multiple incidents tonight.
And it looks like John is going to hold him off for one more corner. Can't really say the same about the next corner. We'll have to wait and see. But, I'm wondering if you're Jonathan Delaney and your tires are as old as they are, at what point does it become a concern that you actually blow a tire? Obviously, fuel has been pretty lax for these guys. They're not too concerned about running it dry. They've had plenty of opportunities to come down pit road and top off. But when your tires get that old and you're putting that much strain on them on this relatively flat track, I gotta wonder when the wear starts to get so bad that you're kind of concerned about having a blowout. We'll maybe find out if this stays green, but Jonathan Delaney on board with the gyro cam. You can see the traffic in front of him, the steering wheel inputs, very extreme inputs, guys. And that's kind of the key to this track, is being able to turn your car as much as possible without skating those tires. You don't want to oversteer. You don't want to go past that slip angle and wear those tires out any faster than you need to, because at a track like this with very little banking, it is easy to skate those tires.
Yeah, Delaney now just about half car lengths between him and Ottinger as they're still continuing to work through lap traffic here, which very well could be a pretty sizable deciding factor in this race. We'll have to see how long Delaney can hold off Ottinger. So going to about 115 laps to go now. So if it stays green, going to be seeing pit stops here in about 30 laps or so. For those front guys, Delaney, Ottinger obviously can run a little bit longer.
Well, Evan, we got to consider, 2 laps of caution equals 1 green flag lap loosely, so they could probably go, I would stretch probably to like 330 or something like that, but no matter how you stretch it, they can't go to the end. Delaney cannot go to the end if this mysteriously does go all the way, but Ottinger, on the other hand, very likely would be pushing the boundaries, but I think they may be able to stretch it if this, again, magically does go green.
Yeah, we'll be very close for Andre. He already has about 40 laps on this fuel run. And you got to think there weren't too many caution laps ran in the last 40 laps. So that's not going to help him out as much as it is helping the guys in front of him like Delaney. So I don't know if we'll be able to make, at this point, I don't think anyone can make it to the end, but we will have to see and find out if we do go green. If a caution comes out right now, then everything we've just said does not matter.
That was the 11 machine of Robert Anderson, who did just go. We haven't talked about him once today that I recall, but he was just on the lead lap just until that very endeavor right there. So nice solid run by that number 11 Red Bull machine to stay on the lead lap and, from what it appears, keep a nice clean car for this long. And survival was one of our keys to the race earlier, so doing a good job of that. But again, here comes Ottinger just stalking the back bumper, and I'm going to say Ottinger is probably playing the patience card. He knows he can get around at any time, but it doesn't really seem like he's forcing the issue or that he's that eager to make the pass right now.
Yeah, there's really no point to make that pass right now. We've still got about 110 laps to go here. Going to have another pit stop, definitely, probably another yellow or two, and that yellow is coming out right behind him on the front straightaway. Trying to see who all was involved there. Looks like the 24 Kevin Steele, Alex Murray involved, who was running in the 6th position. Oh, and it's that 11 car, Robert Anderson, who you were just talking about, Corey.
The commentator's curse happens every time.
Adam Benefield also involved. Quite a few cars got damaged in that wreck.
All right, on our replay here from our chopper cam, focus on the 24, but we may need to change cars.
It started in front of him. It started with Anderson as well as Alex Murray.
All right, find a better look at this following the number 11 machine. Again, commentator's curse, a little bit of contact there, and 28, I think, just he made the contact, but I think he got loose and he had nowhere to go with it except to essentially mutilate the number 11 machine, it appeared. So
driver that got the worst end of that was Adam Benefield. I mean, he was just kind of engaged in a battle there with Murray, and all of a sudden he's got a car in his windshield, no time to react to that. I mean, there was nothing he could have done to change the outcome of that, and he got a lot of damage, front-end damage, that you really don't want at a track like this. So unfortunate.
Indeed, but what we are going to do here is step aside one more time for another side-by-side break, so stay tuned with us on PTR TV. We'll be back with you for the restart.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Well, I was going to say we were back here for the restart, but the pace car snookered us again, so it is now going to be 1 to go again, I think. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, 07 of Lucas Hoytsma is going to be your leader with Blake Giglio. And then we have Raymond Root, who's the highest he's been tonight, and Dustin Hall, who good comeback, 4th. Ryan Ducombe has had an up and down day. He's going to be 5th. Patrick Boucher, haven't talked about him really much at all. He's going to be rolling off 6th on this restart, guys.
Yeah, looks like the top 9 stayed out under this previous caution. About 50 laps on all of their tires. Everyone else came down for 4 fresh tires and top off with gas. So we know they can definitely make it to the end. And we just had Ralph Hutchison go behind the wall. I'm trying to see what happened with that. If you want to take this away here, Andre.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and try to identify that. But the pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road. And for the first time tonight, the field is in the hands of Lucas Hoytsma. Gets a pretty good jump on the bottom, but that is not to discount that 16 on the high line. He got a good start, too. He's going to fall in line in P2. Behind him, they are side by side for 3rd. Dustin Hall, RJ Root are going to go door to door as they work their way into 3 and 4. The advantage going to neither driver. They're going to stay right next to each other. One gets a little bit loose. There's some contact. RJ Root survives. They're going to single file out. Ducombe saw that all happen in his windshield. Had to be a little bit scared at that sight.
Yeah, I saw the little bit of a wiggle there in the center of the corner, but luckily everyone was able to continue just fine as who's at the 46 ran really high up the track into the asphalt, as well as the 64 of Sammy Bouri all the way up to the, I don't know if he just overcooked the corner or what happened, but you could see a whole slew of modifieds with no front end here. Pretty much still running in the top 10 for that matter. You don't even need a front end to be in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, just an update on Hutchison. It looks like he just came down pit road and parked it, so I'm not entirely sure if he had a lot of damage there. But big issues for the points leaders. He is now behind the wall and done for the rest of the night as the battle continues on the track. Hoytsma in front. What's going on, Andre?
Hard contact between the 64 and the number 12. Jason S. Taylor got put into the outside wall, nearly came to a complete stop, but somehow got back on the loud pedal. No yellow flag. They're able to keep it green.
Oh, yeah, there's another car involved in that as well. Looks like the 42 and 46. 46, who restarted back there pretty good. And caution back out here once again. We'll have to see what that is for.
Looking through our telemetry, I don't see anything that sticks out to me,
Nothing
guys.
out of the ordinary. Looks like maybe the 83. Let me take a look. Yeah, it looks like that caution. I think that caution was for Adam Benefield, but he never fully went around. Oh no, so it's for the number 20. Devin Medeiros involved, as well as the 5 of Kyle Ammon involved in that one down the backstretch.
We'll try to see if we can queue this up because it's gonna be a little bit farther back, but we'll see if we can find it. If we can find it in the next couple seconds, we'll air it. If not, we'll just here we go. Put it on screen right here down the back straightaway. They just kind of doored each other down the straightaway, and it ended up getting the 20 to have the short end of the stick there.
And one guy came up, one guy came down, and they met in the middle. But tough break for both of those drivers. Kyle Ammon on pit road now getting some damage fixed. He was up there in the top 6, running pretty good. But yeah, looks like pretty mixed bag.
But guys, you know what we got to do now? Because now that Hutchinson's out of the race, we got to go back to our 4-cam. We got to put Patrick back. So
Patrick's coming back.
We got Bird and we got Evan and 2 guys that are retirees. So just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that Patrick's back.
Devin Medeiros doesn't look like he got too much damage from that incident. Obviously, the right side is a little bit caved in, but overall, he's able to get back out on the track, and I'm I don't think he even lost a lap in that trade. So lucky for him. Devin's a pretty motivated guy. I don't think you're going to see him throwing the towel just because of that. He actually first kind of came into this league through the off-season IROC series, and I believe he had a lot more road experience than he did the oval side of things at that time. Did really great in the IROC series, and then began racing in the actual 100% Cup series on the NASCAR side of things, and he made some noise. He's got some pretty good results in the past. Still looking for that first win, and for a while tonight it really looked like it could be his night. He's had a solid top 10, maybe even top 5 car all night long, but now he's kind of on the downhill, gonna have to try to make a little bit of a comeback after that incident.
He was just working his way forward just slowly. He wasn't setting the track on fire, but he was getting up there up to the top 5 before these incidents, so we'll see if he can kind of battle back through there. As there's about 20 cars on the lead lap right now, Jason Taylor being the last of those. And we'll see just about 90 laps to go here. It looks like the lights are out on the pace car and lights are back on the pace car, so one more lap before we get back underway here at Martinsville.
Gotta love the Martinsville light show. Pace car, turning them on, turning them back off. You never really know what's going on. But Lucas Hoytsma, through all of that, was able to maintain the lead before that caution came back out and brought us back to racking and stacking the field. And so he's going to have another shot at it. Although, man, what pressure from behind. He's got the 25 behind him as well as Jonathan Delaney. Arguably the 2 fastest cars on the track, and he's got them both in his rearview mirror. Not to discredit the 16 either. He's been a very strong car tonight too. So if Lucas wants to hold on to this lead, he's going to have to drive his butt off in that number 07. Jonathan Delaney weaving back and forth, getting some heat in those tires. Lights are off on the pace car. I believe this will be the actual start of the race. Lucas Hoytsma has the field under his control, his command when they go. Coming out of turn 4, he's going to get on it early. A little bit of wheel spin, though. That's going to keep the 16 real close behind as he just barely gets clear. Diving back down to the curb through 1 and 2, Jonathan Delaney is able to get around the 16. He's bringing the 25 in tow. He's going to move up into the podium. Ottinger to 3rd. Now Lucas Hoytsma has to play some defense here. 2 very fast cars in his mirror.
Yeah, I saw the 16 got really high in 1 and 2 there. I was a little worried he was going to get too high and into the asphalt, maybe get a little loose. Luckily, he was able to persevere just fine. But here comes a battle for the lead. Delaney's going to be underneath the 07 of Hoytsma, and I think Ottinger's going to try to go 2 for 1 and fill the gap in here. As you can see, the 07 get a little bit too high. I think he's just going to go back in line, drop in before Giglio can get there. And now we'll see how impatient or just how fast that 25 is, and if he's going to go try to get around Delaney or just kind of hang tight.
Yeah, Delaney and Ottinger both have about 40 lap fresher tires than Hoytsma in that 07. So he did as best as he could there, but just didn't quite have the tires on that machine. As Ottinger now right on the back bumper of that number 6. As the 6 slide up a little bit out of turn number 2, that's going to open the door for 25. Nick Ottinger down to the inside to come down into turns number 3 and 4. Ottinger down low, Delaney up high out of turn number 4, and Ottinger almost clear, just barely on the outside is that number 6 machine down into turns number 1 and 2. Ottinger clears for the lead over Delaney, and now he's just going to set sail and get as far away as he can.
So about how many laps was that, guys? So roughly 100 maybe from that pit stop, 150, 20th to first, something on those lines. So it didn't take him too extraordinarily wrong, and he was able to avoid all the carnage, or at least the vast majority of it, to get himself back to the field after that little strategy pit stop, I think, or that HR pit stop as he called it.
Yeah, that's the impressive part for me is, he got up through that field and he only has a little bit of damage on the right rear, so nothing too bad on that car, which is especially impressive coming up, past some 20 cars or so, getting back to the mid-pack. That's where all the carnage and contact and bumping and banging happens, and he's able to get through that all cleanly, as it looks like all the field getting kind of singled out here. Everyone just trying to log some laps, and hopefully we can get these last 75 or 85 here under green. And trying to find a battle out here, but it looks like everyone is all single file.
64 of Sammy Bury and the 83 were two battles of the beaten up, essentially. That's for 12th and actually that's not a battle.
83's not on the lead lap. Adam Benefiel is 4 laps down out there. There's 18 cars on the lead lap, but he is faster than that 64. Yeah. So down there to the inside, and that's just got to it's just frustrating whenever you're in a position like Adam Benefield and you're 4 laps down, but you just passed 13th place. But it really meant nothing for Benefield, which is just, it's frustrating.
And of course, Benefield isn't where he is by anything of his own making. I mean, again, a victim of circumstance. He was in a battle with Alex Murray. All of a sudden, there's a car in his engine bay. I mean, nothing he could do. And it's been kind of the story of the season for Adam Benefield, just having really bad luck or just kind of circumstances taking him out of the race. Back at the Circuit of the Americas, Adam Benefield had a really good run going. He was in the top 10, running down the top 5, and he took 2 tires over the curb, got an off track, and boom, he was back in the hauler, got DQ'd for incident points. He was one of many who got DQ'd in that race, and that race really would have been a bit of a redemption after just a string of unfortunate incidents. And it's very unlike Adam Benefield. This season has been unlike what you expect out of that 83. He's a very talented driver, just not getting the results he's used to. And you got to think maybe that's starting to frustrate him a little bit.
On board right here with the 65. Sorry about that, Sean O'Brien, as we do have a good battle here with Raymond Root in the 65. They're going to split 3 wide with the lap car there. That's going to give Root that good shot to the inside. Took advantage of essentially the pick there. Best battle on the track, but go back to your point, Evan.
I was going to say, part of the issue with Benefield is it's kind of hard to get a rhythm, especially at this point on the schedule. You know, you have 5 very different tracks, all just kind of back to back to back. Start with Coda, and then you go to Richmond, another short track here, Martinsville, but they're nothing alike. And then next week we go to another short track, Bristol Dirt, which still it's nothing. You can't use anything you learned from Martinsville or Richmond there. And then we have Talladega, another wild card track. So really, this is a place that's very easy to lose your rhythm at this point in the schedule. So, you know, I kind of feel like the season really picks up where you kind of need to have a good summer run starting after Talladega. So we'll have to see if Benefield can kind of, you know, pick his season back up after that. Oh, and we had a 56 car going around. He hung on to. I don't know if we'll get a caution for that. Looks like he kept it rolling. But 56 Mason Lowery, very sideways through 3 and 4. Had a bit of contact from the 27. And then pretty hard nose into the outside wall, but he kept it going, and we stay green.
I'll have that on a replay right here. And as you said, that 27 just kind of doored him and got him loose, but you know, per the algorithm that is what iRacing uses to throw a caution out, that wreck did not warrant it, so it does keep us green. Not missing anything up front. Ottinger is up by 1.2 seconds over Delaney, so we're kind of back to where we were on the first 100 laps or so of the event. Lucas Hoytsma in third, about 5 seconds back roughly. Blake Giglio, and then Raymond Root rounding out your top 5 right now. Everyone is well spaced out up front. I think we're kind of finally at that point where attrition has bit. People have realized that they can't spare the contacts or they'll be removed from the event. So I think we're kind of at that point, guys, where, you know, we may finish this out with less cautions than we anticipated.
Yeah, just over 70 laps to go now with Nick Ottinger still out front, running really solid lap times over Delaney. And, you know, if this does stay green, how many cars do you think will be on the lead lap, Corey? Let's do a little guessy.
So we're at 17 right now, and the last one is 18 seconds behind the leader. So that's, you know, essentially, I think right now if you're over 12 seconds behind the leader, you're probably going to be lapped by the end of this. So that would leave us roughly 8. That's my guess.
I'm going to guess, if it goes green, I'm going to guess 5 cars on the lead lap. And what about you, Andre? What do you think?
I'm going to split it right in the middle. I'm going to take 6 on the lead lap. We'll say that he's going to lap up to 6th, but there he goes around Mason Lowry. And, you know, ironically, I think what happened to Mason Lowry might have played a hand in kind of calming these guys down, because you saw a lot of cars had to slow down when he got sideways in front of him. That separated the field a little bit. That broke up actually a handful of battles that were going on behind him and kind of got those guys single filed out.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten to the point where you're not really battling anyone around you, especially like what you were saying, Andre, with everyone getting kind of spread out. The guy next to you is not really for position. You're just kind of dealing with someone like a lap ahead or a lap behind. So that's really going to be affecting how aggressive these guys are racing around each other. And now we can see Nick Ottinger just barely getting up to the number 12 machine of Jason Taylor. in 15 is going to be putting him a lap down here shortly. And the next one on the chopping block is going to be that number 1 of Dustin Hall, which he's got still about a quarter of a straightaway in front of our leader. So it'll be another lap or 2 at least before he can get to him. Yeah, coming down just under 70 laps to go here now at Martinsville. Will we stay green? Will we have a caution? It's going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening and how this remaining laps of this race plays out.
And one thing we tend to do on PTR TV is we usually do a segment around this part where we kind of, as the 2 or 3 commentators, we take our picks. But in fairness, is there really a point? I mean, I know last week I kind of had a little joke pick of a guy who was like 10 laps down when it was a given that Delaney had it. Is there any circumstance outside of a lapper wrecking Ottinger that takes him out of victory lane tonight, guys?
If it goes green, I don't believe so. I think that's really the only thing that can happen. Ottinger has really good pace right now over Delaney. Some more tires on those guys, so it's not going to come down to really a tire thing. We've seen Ottinger be really fast on the long runs all night. I think if it does stay green, this is Ottinger's race, but it's probably not going to stay green. It would be very likely to see a caution here in the last 20 laps or so once we get closer to that. And if that were to be the case, then it would not surprise me at all to see a different winner than Ottinger out here.
Yeah, if it stays green, I think you are absolutely correct. I don't think anybody has anything for Ottinger. But if we get a yellow flag and Jonathan Delaney is starting door-to-door with the 25, I've seen John run a lot of races, and I know what kind of driver John is. He's not afraid to move somebody if there's a checkered flag in sight, and that includes Nick Ottinger. John is a driver that's kind of up and coming. Everybody kind of says he's on a clear path to the Coke Series, and if he can win a race, Ottinger is just another obstacle in his way. It's not going to be a question of whether or not he's willing to move him. So a late race restart could get a little bit intense. That is if we get one. If it stays green, I think it's that 25's race to lose.
So this is just, we have some time, guys. We can kind of get in these little dynamics here of we don't know if Ottinger is going to be a full-time driver. We know he's won a lot of races. He's playoff eligible. He's running now. We don't know if he's going to be doing full season. Is it easier to move someone who's a part-time driver? Is it easier to move someone who's not here week to week because you don't have to necessarily worry about that? Do you want to wreck somebody who's a high-profile driver in the service, such as a Coke driver? I mean, how do those come into play with your decision-making?
Corey, I'll answer that here in a moment, but I have a question for you. How do you know exactly what I'm going to say before I say it? That was literally going to be my next question. But yeah, I absolutely think it's going to affect you in the case where you're going to be more willing to move someone out of that way. It's not going to cost them a championship or really affect them that much because there is the unknown. He's only this is his 3rd race this season, I do believe, possibly 4th, but 3rd or 4th race this season. And there's been about 8. I believe this is the 8th race so far. So he's missed 4 races, 4 or 5. So you really don't know if he's been running the entire season, already missing those races. And you also know he's going to win more races. So if you move him out of this one, it's not like it's going to be this is his only chance to win the race or win a race. So I definitely think you don't feel as bad about moving him.
Well, see, that all would make sense if we were talking about a driver other than Jonathan Delaney. The problem is that Jonathan Delaney would wreck his mother to get ahead in the Walmart checkout line. So I don't think he's thinking about any of that. He's just thinking about winning.
I do like that saying. I'm going to have to add that one to my laundry list here. So we were talking about a couple laps ago how many guys are going to go a lap down. I said 12. Well, I already lost because now we're down to 11. And you can see next on the chopping block is Devin Medeiros. That's going to be the 10th position going a lap down. And my original guess was if you're within 12 seconds, you'll probably go a lap down. That was about 10 laps ago. So now with that 12-second bubble is up to 5th. So per that logic, we're looking at probably top 5 being the last ones on the lead lap unless something happens. And as you guys kind of alluded to a few times, where we don't really have any active battles for position, there's not really probably going to be any aggression wrecks. I think if we are going to have another caution, it might just be one of those, driver-induced just loops off the exit. So we'll see what happens, but we are closing in on 50 laps to go. 1.6 seconds to your lead. Ottinger, Delaney, Hoyts, Bagiglio, and Raymond Root, your top 5.
Yeah, now only 7 cars out there on the lead lap. The last of those being the 99 Ryan DeCunha, and there's really not a whole lot of time before he does end up going a lap down. They're both in the same corner, both through 3 and 4. Now coming down the back stretch. So probably another, I'd say within 5 laps, DeCunha will be going a lap down, and after that, Andre has a pretty good gap, about 3 seconds to the next guy, which is going to be 6th place Kyle Ammon. So he will most likely end up catching him, but with still 50 laps to go, a lot can happen in this race. A lot can change. So we'll just have to stay and find out. Delaney's only running about a 10th slower each lap, so he's not too far off. But Ottinger is definitely going to need to have some issues if Delaney has any shot if it stays green.
On the screen right there, there's a bit of a battle between the number 8 and 16. These two drivers pretty evenly matched, but I think that number 8 just has a slight advantage on corner entry, whereas the 16, once they roll out of the corner, he gets a little bit more speed. I'm also noticing they're running slightly different lanes. Consistently, that 16 is kind of running half a lane up from the number 8, but here we go. Number 8 is diving to the bottom. I think the 16 is going to concede that. Says, all right, go on by. But still very close in pace.
So I think one thing that we can do now that everyone's kind of in a equalized spot, if you will, at the moment, we can do a brief through the field and probably say we'll do your top 20 or so. So leading the race, as has been the story of most of the day, Nick Ottinger, Jonathan Delaney running in second, Lucas Hoytspa in third, Raymond Root they're running in the 4th spot, Blake Giglio in the top 5, Kyle Ammon, great comeback in the 6th spot. He's had an up and down day, but doing a great job. Ryan DeCunha, another up and down day. I think you could say that just about everybody in the field at this point. He's in 7th. Devin Medeiros is in 8th. Tanner Marty is in 9th. And then Sean O'Brien rounds out your top 10 so far.
And currently running in the 11th position, we're going to have the 09 of JC Gibson. In 12th, the number 42 machine of Nolan Hodgson. We've seen him have a few issues tonight, but solid running in 12th. In 13th, we have the number 1 machine of Dustin Hall. In the 14th position, we have the number 46 of Patrick Mouchet. In 15th position, we have the 56 of Mason Lowery after he had his issues not too long ago. In the 16th position, we're going to have the number 12 of Jason Taylor. And then in the 17th position, we have the number 70 of Michael Christopher. In the 18th position, we have the 83 of Adam Benefiel. And then the last 2 positions, we have the number 57 of Bryce Hoffman in 19th and Ryan Samuelson in 20th.
That's our top 20, and one driver of note that we haven't, he's just not really had a great day. I think he was 29th last time we talked to him. One of our onboard drivers, Cody Bird. He is, I think he was 29th, but now he's 23rd, so he stayed in it. He has persevered enough to, gain a few spots, 7 laps down. Not the day he probably wanted, but, that's what happens. You dig it out, you gain 7 spots. You never know when those 7 spots, those 7 points will come into effect over the course of the season. So, again, I want to thank everybody who has tuned in. We've had a pretty good following both in the chat and with live viewers, so appreciate all that. If you haven't liked and subscribed, again, just click those 2 buttons for us. That would help out greatly. In our 100% series coverage, we have a couple more broadcasts coming up in the channel over the next month or so you'll want to stay tuned for that. If you're a fan of this series as well, make sure you like and subscribe to 3 Wide TV. They'll be with them next week at the Bristol Dirt Race. We'll be back at Talladega, so check the back and forth on social medias for all that information. But through all that talk, guys, it was about 1.5 seconds for your lead. Now it's grown to about 2.5. So I think as the race is closing on, you're starting to pull the legs out on him.
In the meantime, we do have a driver in the infield care center, Damaris Hickenbottom. He was driving the 00, got involved in that incident earlier on. Damaris Hickenbottom, you got a copy? You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Damaris, it's been a bit of a rough night for Team Conti as a whole. You got involved in a few incidents that really weren't of your own making, and then finally the car just seemed to snap around on you there coming through the corner. Tell me about your race.
Yeah, man, just trying to avoid the craziness that was on the track. Did a pretty good job. I was up to, I think, 11th before I got a DQ there on incident points from a teammate, so that was awesome. But yeah, man, just trying to keep it clean and come out with good points there. Unfortunately, we couldn't make that happen. The car's pretty torn up, so we'll try to put it back together and get ready for some dirt racing.
Yeah, speaking of dirt racing, obviously it's going to be a bit of a different challenge. Once a year we go on dirt. How are you preparing for that?
Well, there's no secrets, man. You know, we're just gonna put our head to the grindstone and turn some laps and see what the car feels like, what it handles like. So we got I believe we got a new configuration, some banking changes from last year. So obviously we got the new car, the new platform. So we got to put it all together and start building that notebook. And again, hopefully we can get out there and run. Good luck, we're running today. Once the rubber hit the road, we were in a pretty good position. So want to keep the car together for our first couple stages on the dirt, and then be there for the end. So hopefully we can do that next week.
All right. Well, Evan, Corey, any questions for Damaris?
No, man. You said you had a rough day. You salvaged it as best you could. Unfortunately, the incident points get you out of there. But I know at least me and Evan will be watching next week. So good luck on the dirt next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Mars Hickenbottom out of the booth. Not too dejected, honestly. You know, he was involved in a number of incidents, but it seemed like he was pretty optimistic going into next week and just kind of looking forward, which is always good to see.
Just a little bit of that teammate shade thrown. You know, we've been seeing that. Just, you know, people aren't mad. They're not calling people out. They're not, you know, being overly. I'm trying to find the word. Overly obnoxious, but just kind of throw little jabs. It's just kind of that's what happens on the short track. As we have 32 laps to go in this event, and Kyle Ammon, 6th place. Here he goes, 1 lap down, or about to be, that is.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure if Andre's going to be able to get it to Blake Iglesias, who's going to be really close there, about another 3 seconds to catch up to him, and 30 laps to go. Looks like they're only running about a 10 slower than Ottinger, so I don't know if he'll quite catch up to him. But I do want to point out Raymond Root now up into that 3rd position. He got by Lucas Hoytsma. So good run from Root to get up there from 22nd up to 3rd. And probably going to be about the best he can do, as he does have about 12 seconds to the next guy in front of him, which is going to be Delaney. And Delaney's starting to close in a little bit on Ottinger. Don't want to say too much yet, but he's about a 10th quicker last time by.
Yeah, that gap has been varying. It kind of goes between about 1.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds, kind of contingent on traffic. And a lot of times what happens at this point in the race with traffic is the guys who are going a lot down, they'll fight. But once they get to the 2nd place guy, they just let him go because, well, if I already lost the battle, I mean, there's no point in holding up 2nd. So a lot of times that will actually help the 2nd place guy gain some time. But we will switch our ticker over to lap time so you can see the difference. And last time by, essentially dead even, 0.02 of a second, but in favor of Ottinger. We'll see what it ends up being this time by, as the gap is about 1.7 or so seconds at the current moment.
Yeah, they were both in traffic on that lap, or they were both actually in clean track, and now they're getting into traffic a little bit here, dead even on that last lap once again. A little bit faster, leaning towards Ottinger, but just by a few thousandths of a second. But Ottinger now up to a little bit of double wide action in front of him. That 56 going to the outside, Ottinger to the inside, able to clear him. A couple cars in between him and Delaney at the moment as they're coming to 26 laps to go here at Martinsville. And it looks like Ottinger is just pretty easily able to get by all these lap cars, which is going to make it really good for him and really bad for Delaney.
Ottinger's probably sitting in that driver's seat saying, come on guys, keep this green, no yellow flags, no speed bumps, let's keep this thing going. And obviously I think he got John Delaney behind him, hoping for the opposite. He's waiting for that yellow flag. He wants that to fly so he can have a chance to make a move on a restart or get the lead somehow. But it's going to be crazy if we were to get a late race restart. But for the meantime,
consider this, guys, because obviously we don't have a choose cone rule here. So if we were to have a caution, which again we're speaking hypothetically, and he comes out 2nd, he's going to be in a precarious position. Do you play that little strategy card and purposely come out 3rd just so you can be behind the leader? I mean, you don't really want to be on the outside here for the most part here on these restarts, as we've seen.
That's a good question. Although we do know that John has a lot of speed on the outside, probably more than most of the competition out there. So if it was another driver, I'd say maybe you do intentionally throw the pit stop and come out 3rd. But I don't know. I think John's pretty confident on that outside lane.
So the gap down to 1.2 seconds, but the problem is Ottinger's through the traffic and Delaney's not. So by the time Delaney gets through this traffic, even if they are cordial about it, I'm going to gather this lead's probably going to get back up to roughly 2 seconds.
as it was down to 1.2 for a very brief moment in time. See our live gap here on our ticker, back up to 1.6. He's side by side now. That's holding him back 1.8. So I think the final breath has been breathed. The final breath has been breathed.
Yeah.
You can see I didn't put too much thought into.
Breathed.
I didn't put too much thought into that sentence, but I think the okay. Someone else talk.
Yeah, so Ottinger out here leading over Delaney. Ottinger now has really clean track right in front of him. But he is going to be coming up on a pretty decent gaggle of cars here in probably about 5-10 laps, so right around the end of this race. But I still don't think it's going to be quite enough for Delaney to get up there without a caution. As 20 laps to go now, the final 20 laps of this race.
Something happened to Root. He was third, dropped back to fourth.
I see that. Trying to see what happened with him.
But still a good run regardless, but definitely lost about a second.
Turn 4 just got really loose out of the corner like we've seen a lot tonight. Managed to hang on to it, but he did drop back to now into the 5th position. So he will be going a lap down here shortly to the leader of Nick Ottinger. So we may end up with only 3 or 4 cars on this lead lap.
I think I'm going to go as far as 2 because Hoytsman's 17.5 back. So our live ticker on the side is a little different than the telemetry we have. It's kind of a little latency thing. But from what I can see here, about 17.5 seconds to Hoytsma. So there's a high probability it's just going to be Ottinger and Delaney by the time this thing's over with.
Very well could be. I mean, he's got another 18 laps, which they're going to click by pretty quick, but I mean, the pace that the 25 has, I would not be surprised if he gets around these guys. And finishing with only 2 cars on the lead lap, that's pretty crazy, and it really shows the pace that Ottinger and Delaney have over everybody else. And again, the competition it's stout. I mean, we started with a full field. It's not like these guys are out here racing against a couple of randos in a public lobby. No, this is a full field that showed up to compete.
Whoa!
Still 44 and 40.
They tried to wreck. They tried to wreck and throw out that caution. That's Drumhiller in the 44 and the 40 machine of Damian Acerenza. They tried to throw that caution, but
yeah, Acerenza not coming down pit road. I'm not sure if he had some sort of issue there, but he was definitely way high through 1 and 2, and Ottinger was right near that as well. But everyone all clear and is through those corners. Everyone's still green. 15 laps to go here now. And Corey, I think you're right. I think we're going to get down to about just 2 cars on this lead lap.
Yeah, I will say that when I made my hypothetical bet that I didn't confirm, luckily we had like 1 or 2 more cautions, so I would have been off the hook there either way. But from the time I made that statement, though, this race did clean up in the flip of a switch. We pretty much went this last 120 laps with only about 1 caution, where the middle sector was an absolute tragedy. But you know, it happens. I think we'll bring up our recap graphic. Final stabs on cautions, guys. I'm going to say 18. That's my guess.
21.
20.
All right. Survey says 18. I didn't cheat. I promise. If you look at the production feed, I didn't cheat.
I think you cheated,
So
Corey.
18 cautions on the evening here for, let me just pull that back up, for 104 laps. So over 25% of the race. With 5 leaders and 14 lead changes. So, again, stark difference from last week, and I don't know how the cautions fly on the dirt next week, Andre, as to what you'll expect there at the Bristol Dirt Race, especially with all the new changes, next-gen car on dirt, all this fun stuff. But 11 to go, guys. We can't write this home. The gap, now it's back down to 1.4. It's like, as soon as you think it's over, all of a sudden, Delaney finds something, or traffic does something, because it's far, but it's not without the realm of possibility.
Well, I think what's slowing down Ottinger right now is the fact that he's not just passing regular lap traffic. He's working with 2 drivers who are racing for position. They're battling for a podium. Well, not quite for a podium. I apologize. 4th and 5th. These guys are battling for a top 5, and they're not going to be too eager to roll over and let the leader go if it's going to cost them too much time on the driver that they're actually racing for position. Obviously, Ottinger has quite a sizable lead. They know Ottinger's fast, and they're probably thinking in their mind, hey, it's his job to get around him. He's a race car car driver. He can race around me. In the meantime, I got my own battle on my hands, my own problems to worry about, and that's kind of holding them up because these guys are not moving out of the way. Jonathan Delaney brings the gap down to under a second now.
Yeah, if you're Delaney,
Giglio is letting Ottinger go by now, but just in front of him, he's going to have Root and Hoytsma battling as well.
Yeah, if you're Delaney's spotter, you want to be on the roof saying, hold them up, hold them up. But, I mean, the race of etiquette, and he kind of wants you to not be the leader, not be the cause of, you know, race-changing events. But, I mean, we've seen it happen in the real world, let's be honest with each other. So we are less than a second. We are 6 laps to go, which at Martinsville is only 2 minutes of race time. Will there be a last-second caution? Will some magic events happen that give Delaney even a fighting shot at the win? Well, we're going to find out very quickly coming to 5 laps to go as we enter 3 and 4.
We've got 5 laps to go here. Ottinger just under a second back to Delaney now. See, it's going to be very close here.
He was able to get around the 42 pretty quickly. Jonathan Delaney not really getting that luxury. He's kind of battling with this lap traffic, and it's going to be another lap or two before the 25 has any more to deal with. So the card's definitely not in John's favor, but the gap has been kind of continually closing. Lap times on the screen right there. Actually, the last lap went to Ottinger. It was a 20.174 versus Jonathan Delaney's 20.240, so about a tenth quicker. Coming into turn 3, John is still battling with this 42. He does not want to let him go at all, so this is helping Ottinger big time. Lap times this time, Ottinger gets a 20.162, only a thousandth slower than before. Delaney gets a 20.174, so a hundredth of a second in lap time difference.
Remember, if the caution does come out super quick, we do have 3 opportunities at a green-white checker, but so far doesn't appear that's going to be the case. We'll bring up our graphic here. 270 laps that Nick Ottinger has led, and if he leads the last 2, we'll have 272 laps on the evening. He's won 3 races this year. He's running 3 races this year. So far, he's batting 1,000, and he's going to come to the white flag lap here in the 100% Cup Series. Nick Ottinger trying to go 4 for 4 in races run, trying to do the best he can. He's playoff eligible. The question is he going to be full-time? Because if he is, these guys are going to have a heck of a battle trying to take that 25 out of victory lane. They gave him the best shot they could. Delaney gave him the best shot he could, but it's not going to be enough. Nick Ottinger is going to win here at Martinsville.
Jonathan Delaney going to come home in that 2nd position. And then now we have the battle for 3rd. Lucas Hoytsma as well as Raymond Root side by side as we go down into turns number 3 and 4 for the final time here.
Oh!
With a contact between those 2 drivers, Hoytsma going up high. It's going to allow Raymond Root to get home and finish in that 3rd position, and Lucas Hoytsma in 4th.
Let's see if
not happy about that.
I think he thought better of it there, because technically he could get himself booted out of the race even on the cooldown lap. But regardless of that, we want to offer our congratulations to Nick Ottinger, who is burning it down here on the front straightaway. I think the results have concluded themselves, so let's go ahead and give you the final rundown of results here from the Martinsville Speedway before we start our post-race interviews. Again, with the dominating effort here tonight, Nick Ottinger with the win by 1.1 seconds. That's the final margin on Delaney. Raymond Root with that power move on Lucas Hoytsma. That's 3rd and 4th right there. We'll talk to Root after that, because that will be an interesting interview. Blake Giglio with the 5th. Kyle Lambin, one of our onboard drivers, he finishes 6th here tonight. Devin Medeiros with a 7th. Ryan Ducombe, an interesting night, finishes 8th. Tanner Marty and Sean O'Brien rounding out your top 10.
And coming home in the 11th position, we're going to have the number 1 of Dustin Hall after starting in 36th. Good run for him. In 12th, we have the 42 of Nolan Hodgson. In the 13th position, we're going to have the number 27 of JC Gibson. In the 14th position, we have the number 12 of Jason Tyler. In the 15th, we have the 46 of Patrick Mouchet. 16th is going to be going to the 56 of Mason Lowery. And then 17th, 83 of Adam Benefiel. 18th, the 70 of Michael Christopher. 19th, the 81 of Ryan Samuelson. And then rounding out the top 20, we're going to have the 57 of Bryce Hoffman.
Looking back from Bryce Hoffman, 21st goes to Randy Drumhiller. Dalton Mobley behind him, P22. Cody Bird, another one of the webcam drivers, brings it home, P23. Bit of a comeback from the 29th he was in last time we checked in, so good run for Bird tonight. Chad Sanner comes home 24th. Kevin, consistency steal through a lot of incidents and a lot of adversity, somehow brings it home, P25. Preston McRae in P26. Damian Acerenze brings it home 27th. 28th goes to Alex Murray. Robert Anderson, 29th, and 30th is Sammy Bory.
And rounding out your field tonight, we talked to Damaris Hickenbottom not too long ago, the 31st, another one of our cam drivers, and what was the former points leader. Not sure if that'll still be the case. Ralph Hutchison with a 32nd. Matthew Gaskins had an interesting day, 33rd. Matt White had some speed, unfortunately some bad luck, 34th. Jason Baker, same thing with him, in the 35th spot. And these drivers really didn't have too much time. They were out early. Tyler Pincinel, Alex Princeton, Durham, what was his name?
Durham.
Jack Durham, thank you. Brandon Pierce, another one of our drivers that we had on the webcams, and Rob Tracy, your field here tonight. So I think we have victory lane. Andre, I know you've probably talked to him a few times before, so probably be fitting for you to talk to our race winner here tonight, Nick Ottinger.
Alrighty.
I'm just gonna. Hello.
All right, you got a copy, Nick?
We have a copy.
Well, Nick, last time I talked to you, I said it looks like you've done this before. Man, the experience just keeps racking up. You're in victory lane again, this time at a short track. Man, oh man, dominating performance. You led, I believe, almost 200 laps tonight, maybe a little bit more. Made a great comeback. You came down pit road when really not a lot of drivers did. Found yourself towards the back half of the grid. And then, after a while, you were back up in the lead. Walk me through your night.
Yeah, it was a night battling, tire strategies and the fuel strategy, for the last stage, and just planning when you'd actually be, not coming down pit road, and reality set in to where the log run was going to happen at the end, and we adjusted for like 35 lappers, and we just got a little too free at the end, but we had a big enough gap to kind of manage, and we had third and fourth place in front of us and fifth kind of battle with each other. So I was doing my best to kind of manage that gap to John, and John kept me honest every bit of the way. So kudos to John on, really good run to keep me honest the whole last, I'd say, long run there. And, we're a little too free, basically trailing off the brake, and it was a little edgy at that point. So when you fight security issues at, Martinsville, it's a little hard to make lap time. But, we had a good Team Conti piece tonight, and it's fun to get another win. It's a great group of drivers in this league, and John again keeping me honest. So like he could have been, if he didn't let me buy on that restart, he'd probably be walking the dog on me on this run too. So kudos to him, kudos to everyone tonight. We had a nice opening run, and then we had a nice long run to finish the race.
Now, the question on everybody's mind, especially up here in the booth, something we were talking about a lot, is with the success that you've had, when you came into this league, it was kind of a question, how many races were you going to run? It kind of seemed like you were going to be part-time, only showing up here or there, but you've been running a lot lately, and you've been winning a lot lately. Is there any chance you're going to go for the title this year?
I do not know. I mean, I don't know what the schedule looks like for me, so I'm just doing these when I can. And anytime you get more seat time in this Gen 7 car in iRacing, and especially for us, when we're kind of utilizing it for, the Coca-Cola series, it's beneficial just to get any type of feedback you can, and, knowledge behind a car that may take to road courses. That's why I did tonight, for the heavy braking style, and maybe a transfer for us for road courses and stuff like that too. So, I don't want to give my, promises, to say I'm going to be going for the championship, because I really have no clue. But I'll keep the people at 100 just honest to see if I'll be here and there each week.
Keeping them on their toes. I love it. Well, Nick, it was a great win again. Congratulations. Before we let you go, is there any shout outs that you'd like to make?
Yeah, well, definitely the guys at Team Conti. Even for the Coca-Cola series, with our Logitech G car and TSM, it's luckily they let me run the scheme, and it's a lot of guys at Team Conti put a lot of work for this, this 100% league, Damaris and You know, you have Dustin Hall, Anna Benefield. So I'd like to give a shout out to our EPI guys as well. They had a pretty good showing tonight, and it's a difficult. It's really just difficult just to run that many laps in a row like it is in this car specifically. So give a huge shout out to, our team back at the, virtual shop.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Nick. We're going to let you go celebrate.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And now second place. Nearly got there, tried his very best to get there. We'll grab John Delaney. You had that dominated performance last week, and while Nick Ottinger had this race locked up, you definitely didn't go without a fight, and you were closing in those last few laps. I know you were probably looking at that gap. What was your thoughts as it got close to a second, or even within a second a couple times?
Well, I mean, man, that was a fun race. Nick got me sweating there. I was giving it all there at the end. Just couldn't get to him. But yeah, no, I knew he was obviously a lot better than me, the short to mid run, and I knew I had a little something for him the long run. So I was just kind of hoping we could, get some really nice long runs there, maybe a green flag pit stop. But it just wasn't able to happen, which is never a guaranteed at short tracks like this. It's always a lot of cautions. So I was really hoping I could get him. Just didn't have enough speed for him to go up there and race him for the win.
Yeah, I know he was talking in his interview saying that if you were able to stay ahead of him on the restart, he's not sure he would have got back past you. And with that long run speed, very much would have could have been the case. But what specifically did you lack that he just had that little bit more oomph than you did? What did you need?
I mean, all the Team Conti cars, especially Nick, and when Adam was up in the front, they were especially good center off. We just couldn't get the drive they were getting on the short run, but towards the long run, that's kind of when our car kicked in, and we were set up a little tighter for the short run so we could be better on the long run. So that was just mainly the main thing we were lacking, was just the center drive off, and they were able to get it dialed in to where they liked it, and to the point where they were really good the short mid run, and still decent on the long run.
Yeah, definitely the case. So you get the win next last week. You got a second here today. We throw everything out the window. We hit on the dirt next week. What are your thoughts headed there, and what do you think you have for him on the clay next week?
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be probably a fun race tonight. Probably another race. I'll be sweating bullets. I think that it's gonna be a really fun race whenever the track slicks off. There's gonna be multiple lines to be able to run. So I think it'll be a fun one. Definitely a very hard race too. But we'll see what kind of speed we show up there with.
All right, well, we'll wish you luck in there. We'll be, 3-wide will be covering you next week, but who do you want to give a shout out to, man, for your second place here tonight?
Yeah, shout out to everyone at Lockdown Racing, especially Ralph Hutchison this week. He was a man who really put a lot of work into this car, so I gotta give a huge shout out to him for doing laps for this and just getting it to where we needed it. Shout out to you guys and Booth for broadcasting, the admins for putting on this league, everyone who had raced tonight. A lot of fun. Let's see, shout out to mom and dad, brother, Tanya and Bob, grandma, everyone watching at home. I'd like to thank Sparko, Makeeng Setup Shop, Sim Seats, Death Wish Coffee, MPI, all of our sponsors here at Lockdown Racing. And that's all I have.
All right, man. Well, again, congrats on the finish, and we'll be talking to you soon. Good luck next week.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And now Evan has caught up with Raymond Root. Remember, he had that that aggressive move on Lucas Hoytsma. Evan's caught up with the number 8 machine.
Hey, Raymond, it's Evan up in the PTR TV booth. You got us?
I got you guys.
All right. Well, we saw you have a pretty interesting race. Started back in 22nd, worked your way up through this field, and had that last lap, last corner pass on Lucas Hoytsma. So how about you just walk us through your race and what that car was like for you?
We were dealing with a pretty tight car, but every time that I got it, I loosened it up. I would start to almost spin it out of the corner, and actually did once. So we just had to suffer with a tight car. Made the right decision to pit when we did, and it went green to the end. Had one of the faster cars to just drive through the field.
Yeah, then you were able to make that amazing last lap pass on Lucas Voitsma. But, so far this season, you've had 6 starts, 3 DNFs, top 5 at Las Vegas. But is it kind of nice to finally get out here, have a good run, even with the adversity you did have in this race, but you were able to battle through it, get up to there to third? Does that make you have a bit more confidence going into next week at Bristol, or since it's that dirt, or is that just kind of throw everything out the window?
I ran really good last year at Bristol Dirt, and I'm really excited to go back there. It is a confidence boost to finally be able to finish a race, and that's been our big issue, is just gotten taken out of almost every race, none of it being my fault. So just being able to finish a race is a boost compared to anything.
Yeah, and we've had quite a few wild cards here recently with the Coda and then the short tracks, and then now we're going to dirt and then Talladega after that. So momentum's always good. So if we can continue keeping that built next week at Bristol and Talladega after that. But is there anyone else you would like to give a shout out to here before we let you go?
I'd like to give a shout out to everyone over at Edge Setup Shop and Charge Racing, and everybody over at SBR to keep me company and keep me sane through that race.
All right. Well, thanks for talking with us, and good luck next week at Bristol.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So again, a very interesting race here. We saw Nick Ottinger dominate, but Delaney didn't let him go, and a lot of cautions. But all in all, a great race. What are your takeaways after this?
Yeah, just here at Martinsville, a very fun race, a lot of green flag racing. To start the race and end the race, we had a little bit of that rough spot in the middle, but just has me really looking forward to next week at Bristol. Just these guys out on the dirt, it's gonna be a really fun race to watch. So definitely make sure you tune into 3Y TV for that. But man, this series has been a lot of fun to broadcast.
Yeah, these guys always put on a great show, and as far as Martinsville races go, I think this is the best show that this league has put on here. It was a phenomenal race, and just a lot of fun to watch. And just kind of as a side thing, I want to thank you guys for having me up in the booth with you. It was great working with you, and had a lot of fun up here tonight.
Glad to have you with us. And again, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Do all that fun stuff. Check out 3Y TV next week as they'll be covering the dirt race, and we'll be with you the subsequent week for Talladega. So signing out of the booth here tonight, Corey, Andre, and Evan on PTR TV. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
Have a great night, everyone.